Chapter 859, World of the Sea, a few Class 6 magical beasts have come. Nubis focused his attention on the dozen or so figures who flew over from the distance. They're not magical beasts but humanoid organisms who have evolved from sea life, corrected Jian Chen. He could tell with a single glance that they were not humans or magical beasts. There's not much information regarding the sea race in my inherited memories. However, these members of the sea race really are intriguing. They're basically the same as us magical beasts but they don't need to reach Saint Ruler to gain a human form. They're much better than us magical beasts, sighed Nubis. The people arrived before the two of them very quickly. They stopped 20 meters away, while their expressions were filled with caution. There were 13 people in total, 12 young men and 1 woman. The young men were all of average appearance, while the woman was slightly dashing. She exuded a refined aura of nobility and was clearly the daughter of some wealthy clan. Perhaps it was because of the special factors in the environment of the sea that they lived in, but their skin were not white. Instead, their skin was green, a very distinct feature that differentiated them from the humans who dwelled on the Tianyuan continent. As Jian Chen and Nubis studied them, they looked back and examined them in return. However, they shifted their gazes from Jian Chen very quickly. Their eyes landed on the gold-clothed Nubis who had long, golden hair. Most of those who lived under the sea had blue hair. Although a minority had hair of other colors, people with golden hair had never appeared. Nubis clearly stood out with his appearance among the people of the sea race. Esteemed warriors, may I ask of your purpose here? The rather good-looking lady asked curiously, while her eyes constantly studied Jian Chen and Nubis. The two of us are resting here. Is there anything you require? Jian Chen asked indifferently. Miss, don't pay any attention to them. We're not far from Jas City now. For the two of them to rest in the wilderness, they clearly haven't brought enough crystal coins to pay the fee to enter the city, or they don't have enough crystal coins to live in there. With Mrs. Great status, there's no need to talk to these lowly people. It'll only be depreciating Mrs. status, said a young man with a slightly good-looking appearance from behind. His gaze toward Jian Chen and Nubis was filled with disdain. He was unable to feel their strength at all, so he viewed them as ordinary people. Shut up, there's no need to be so rude, the lady reprimanded the young man with a slight frown. Afterward, she looked toward the two of them and asked, Esteemed warriors, may I ask how many stars do you possess as Sea Soul warriors? Jian Chen and Nubis looked at each other. They had no idea as to how to answer this question. This was their first time coming to where the sea race resided, so they were still extremely unfamiliar with the sea race. They had no idea what a Sea Soul warrior was, how many stars they were or what they represented. If they answered it incorrectly, it would draw suspicion from the people. Seeing how the two of them were unable to answer this question, the young man from behind could not help but speak out, haven't you become Sea Soul warriors yet? No, we indeed have not become Sea Soul warriors, replied Jian Chen. With that, all the young men behind the lady revealed expressions of contempt. Their gazes toward the two of them were filled with unconcealed disdain. Skepticism appeared on the lady's face, clearly not believing what Jian Chen had said. She was talented and practiced the innate spirit-opening technique of the 8 great sea race techniques. Her sensory abilities exceeded those on the same level and were able to spy on almost everything. Before, as she had passed this region, she had clearly felt the ripples of a powerful but extremely obscure energy. As a result, she rushed over and discovered Jian Chen and Nubis. However, her innate spirit-opening technique was unable to see through Jian Chen and Nubis. She could feel that the two people before her were not as simple as they seemed at all. The lady hesitated slightly before asking, Esteemed warriors, the Jas City is not far from here. Also, the grand auction held once every 100 years is about to start soon too. Why don't the two warriors enter the city with me? Alright, we'll go in with the young lady. Jian Chen agreed readily. Jian Chen, why do you want to enter the city with them now? Nubis sent a mental message as he was extremely perplexed. Members of the sea race are relatively special. Their sensory abilities completely exceed my expectations, and they actually discovered the existence of the saint artifact. The artifact is unable to conceal its presence entirely, so we can't take it out often. As a result, we can only cultivate outside, which is why we need to have a detailed understanding regarding the sea race. Following them undoubtedly would be a fast and convenient way to this knowledge. Yeah, that seems reasonable. I do have some information recorded in my inherited memories regarding the sea race, but I have no idea how long ago this is from. The sea race must have experienced some great changes too, like these sea soul warriors. I have no clue what they are. Afterward, the two of them followed the woman toward Jas City. They concealed their strength as they enveloped themselves with a layer of water-attributed energy and flew slowly. To the two of them who were both saint rulers, this was as easy as cake. As they displayed their ability of flight, it immediately caused a great change in the gazes of the other people. Along the way, Jian Chen and Nubis constantly asked vague questions regarding the situation of the sea race. They learned a lot of useful information from the lady, gaining a deeper and deeper understanding. Other than the fact that the sea race was divided into 3 factions that they already knew, it was further split up into the inner and outer oceans. The inner ocean was the independent world where the two of them currently resided, separated by a barrier. It was the holy land of the sea race where only highly evolved, humanoid sea race members had the right to enter. The members of the sea race who had yet to gain a humanoid form could only live in the outer ocean. The outer ocean was the world outside the barrier. Not only was the environment horrible, there was a scarce supply of water-attributed energy of the world, and it was filled with sea water. Of course, there were a few species of the sea race who could not take humanoid forms due to innate limitations. As a result, they only needed to reach the 14th star as Sea Soul Warriors to gain the right to enter. Sea Soul Warriors were the cultivators of the sea race. Their strengths were divided into a total of 18 stars. According to how magical beasts were measured, one class was equivalent to 2 stars. First star and second star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to human saints and class 1 magical beasts, while third star and fourth star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to human great saints and class 2 magical beasts. Continuing with this pattern, 11th star and 12th star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to class 6 magical beasts, 13th star and 14th star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to class 7 magical beasts, 15th star and 16th star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to class 8 magical beasts, and 17th star and 18th star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to class 9 magical beasts. In the territory of the sea race, crystal coins would form naturally from the water-attributed energy. Not only were they the currency used by the sea race, they were also a crucial object for cultivation. The coins were as important as monster cores on the Tianyuan continent, but the only difference was that when they absorbed these coins for cultivation, there would not be any after-effects. Other than the 3 halls that divided the world, there were many other organizations of various sizes, existing in the forms of clans or tribes. Other than all this, Jian Chen also learned something extremely important. There would often be humans or magical beasts who moved about among the sea race too. They were virtually all foreign cultivators who lived quite close to the region of sea. They would bring in objects from outside to trade with the sea race to obtain what they needed. Although the majority of the sea race did not antagonize foreign humans or magical beasts, there were exceptions. Some members of the sea race were extremely xenophobic, so whenever they saw outsiders, there would often be conflict or deeds of murder and robbery. Even powerful human saint rulers and class 7 magical beasts were not exceptions to this fact. As a result, if outsiders wanted to move about among the sea race safely, they needed the support of a powerful organization. Jian Chen also gained some understanding of the lady's identity. She was the daughter of a clan patriarch several tens of thousand kilometers away and was called Kaya. She had cultivated for over 200 years, and this was the first time she had led a dozen or so 12th star Sea Soul Warriors to participate in the auction of Jas City held once every 100 years. As Jian Chen traveled towards the city, the high-ranking members of the 10 protector clans and Mercenary City all gathered in a floating hall in Mercenary City. Everyone, this is the situation. The sea goddess is not dead, and Jian Chen fled into the territory of the sea race with the winged tiger god. Let's talk about just what we should do. A great elder narrated the information he had learned from Ling Yuanzi in detail. Within the floating hall, all the other people were extremely stern, with the grand elder of Mercenary City being the only exception. The sea goddess was an influential existence from the ancient times. She was someone that matched up to the greatest human expert Mo Tianyun, the ancient winged tiger god, and the war god of the 100 races, Ergens. She was one of the 4 supreme champions that surpassed Saint Emperor. Now that so many years had passed, the war god Ergens had fallen. The ancient winged tiger god and Mo Tianyun had both disappeared. It was extremely likely that they have passed away from old age. They were no longer with them, yet the sea goddess still existed. This piece of news caused an extremely great shock to the 10 protector clans and made all of their expressions become ugly. Yuan Qingzi, is this true? Are you sure the sea goddess is not dead? And that it's not some other expert posing to scare us? Asked a representative from a protector clan. His tone was stern. I'm absolutely certain about this. Other than me, there's also Bai Yifei who witnessed this. Ling Yuanzi growled. He had yet to recover fully from his injuries, so his face was sheet white and ghastly. Ling Yuanzi, are your injuries from the sea goddess? I feel that your origin soul is extremely weak. It has suffered extremely great damage, said a ruddy old man. Ling Yuanzi shook his head. As soon as he thought about this, he felt a wave of shame and resentment. As an impressive 5th heavenly layer Saint King, he had actually fallen to such a state all from a junior who was far weaker than he was. This was a great embarrassment. It was Jian Chen. I never thought he'd reached class 7 as a radiant saint master. He paid 500 years of his life as a price to cast the forbidden radiant arte, injuring me heavily, said Ling Yuanzi with gritted teeth. Hatred toward Jian Chen churned within him. With that, everyone present was surprised. Changyang Qingyun from the Changyang clan and the Grand Elder of Mercenary City both became mixed in emotions. They wanted to help Jian Chen very much, but they lacked the power to do so. This was also connected to the winged tiger god. If the problem regarding who the winged tiger god belonged to was not resolved, they could not help Jian Chen at all, as this would only intensify the disagreement between the protector clans. It's about time I told everyone this. Yuan Qingzi is right. The sea goddess has indeed not passed away and still remains alive, said Tian Jian. His voice was flat and reserved. Tian Jian, how are you so certain that the sea goddess is not dead? Tian Jian, since you knew the sea goddess was still alive, why didn't you tell us earlier? 2 representatives from different clans asked at the same time. Tian Jian replied slowly, many years ago, I fused my origin soul with the hall and borrowed its power to observe the world. I sensed a terrifyingly powerful energy from the sea race and confirmed that it was the sea goddess. As for why I didn't tell you all, do you believe this is good news? Knowing would actually make you all worse off, making you all worry. Chapter 860, Fragment of the Octaterra Map. Tian Jian replied slowly, many years ago, I fused my origin soul with the hall and borrowed its power to observe the world. I sensed a terrifyingly powerful energy from the sea race and confirmed that it was the sea goddess. As for why I didn't tell you all, do you believe this is good news? Knowing would actually make you all worse off, making you all worry. Everyone present understood. The news about the sea goddess caused them to experience an extremely great pressure. If it was possible, they would rather not hear about it. Now that Jian Chen's taken the winged tiger god into the territory of the sea race with him, what do you all think we should do? A member of the 10 protector clans said with a deep voice. Many people present became extremely grim. With the Tian Yuan continent's current strength, the realm of the sea race was a forbidden zone without any doubt. Even if they united all the power on the entire continent, they would not be able to fend off one of the 4 supreme champions that had surpassed Saint Emperor from the ancient times. Even if they worked with the beast god continent, they would probably still be unable to oppose the sea race. The protector clans were ancient clans that had survived from the ancient times. There were many records in the clans, so they knew about the strength and terror of those who had surpassed Saint Emperor extremely well. I find this to be rather fishy. Since the sea goddess is still alive, why have we not heard any news about her even after so much time? It has even made everyone believe that she already had passed away from old age, analyzed an old man. With that, many people first stared blankly, before their eyes began to twinkle in thought. A middle-aged man said, I think that's reasonable. Since the sea goddess is still alive, why has she kept such a low profile? That doesn't make sense. Is she perhaps hiding for something? Or has she always been asleep and has only just woken up? A saint king has a lifespan of 6,000 years, while a saint emperor has 10,000. With the sea goddess's strength that has surpassed Saint Emperor, her lifespan will definitely be even longer, but it's already been so much time since the ancient times. No matter how long her life is, she shouldn't be still alive. Perhaps it's just a strand of the sea goddess's soul that she left behind? If it's just a strand of her soul, there's nothing to fear. The people from the 10 protector clans all discussed their views and ideas. The sea goddess saved Jian Chen at the most crucial moment. I think she already knows the existence of the winged tiger god too and will definitely take it. The beast god continent needs it even more urgently than us, so there's bound to be conflict between the sea race and the magical beasts. Why don't we just watch on from a distance if this is the case and let both of them sustain great losses? You never know, we might even be able to fish up some spoils from it. You're right. And we can use the beast god continent to probe the situation of the sea goddess as well. Currently, a voice filled with rage roared out in the depths of some mountains abundant in the energy of the world. Heavenly enchantress, you bitch. So much for me being so infatuated with you, and yet you treat me like this. You actually stopped me from killing Jian Chen. You're a wretched couple I say. I, by Jian, will definitely make the two of you regret it. Jian Chen, you bastard, you son of a bitch. You took my love. I will definitely make you suffer so much that you wish you were dead. So what if you run off to the sea race? I won't let any of your friends or family off the hook. I will make the flame mercenaries into a bloodbath. Cough cough, Bai Jian, calm down. There's a great elder from the Changyang clan guarding Jian Chen's family. You must not act recklessly and remember to never clash with them openly. We still can't offend the protector clans. Bai Yifei's weakened voice sounded from within the cave. Dad, I know what I should do, said Bai Jian with bloodshot eyes and ragged breath. The rage within him had already reached the utmost limit. Changyang Zhu Yayan stared blankly out the window in a building toward the main door of the Changyang clan in Lore City, her face filled with sorrow. Kong'er, just where are you? Changyang Zhu Yayan said miserably. In the recent years, she had not taken a single step out of Lore City, awaiting for her son's return quietly. Even she herself no longer had any idea how many times she had said things along those lines. Sigh, there goes another few years. Kong'er lifespan is getting shorter too. It's a pity that the world's so big. We can't find him at all. Changyang Zhu Yunshao also sighed sorrowfully. He felt extremely miserable. The flame mercenaries had also experienced an extremely great change in these 4 years. The original city walls had already been demolished and the construction of a city made out of tungsten alloy had begun too. Under the hard words of hundreds of thousands of workers, blocks of meter-wide tungsten alloy cubes were stacked up, already forming a city wall of over 30 meters in height. After 4 years, the reconstruction of Flame City had reached a third of the way there. Meanwhile, the act of building the city by the Flame Mercenaries was so great that it shook up a portion of the continent and raised the attention of various powerful organizations. Over these years, Yu Yu and Bai Lian both began to hand down matters gradually to their subordinates, devoting more time to cultivation. Their constitution had been improved by the heavenly resources left behind by Jian Chen. They cultivated much faster than ordinary people, and with the personal guidance from two saint rulers, Bai Hai and Jie Tai, they had already become great saint masters. Ming Dong, Tai Ta, Fatty, Yui Feng, De Gu Feng, and others spent the entire time in seclusion. They never appeared, so no one knew just how powerful they had grown to either. In the highest room of a tower at the Huanggu clan, the patriarch stood courteously before a large metal door. Reporting to Ancestor, I've already inquired about it. Your newly accepted disciple, Huang Wan, has reached the third cycle as an Earth Saint Master. She's currently working hard on her cultivation under the personal guidance of the ancestor from the Huang family, Huang Tianba. Third cycle Earth Saint Master. This speed is a little slow. If this continues, it'll at least take a dozen or so years before she reaches Heaven Saint Master. It seems it's time for me to bring that girl back. Only when she is by my side will her cultivation speed increase, and only then will she reach Heaven Saint Master in the shortest amount of time possible. An ancient, powerful voice boomed from inside the metal door. It was the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. Jas City was deep under the sea in the Sea Race's territory and was a very well-known city in a radius of several tens of thousands of kilometers. It took up an extremely large area and had a great population. It was an extremely bustling city. The travelers beside Nubis and Jian Chen gradually increased as they reached a distance of 10 kilometers from the city with Kaya. Almost all of them were members of the Sea Race, with long, blue hair and blue skin. However, other than this, they seemed just like the humans on the Tianyuan continent. Jas City is a king-level city. Only Sea Soul warriors beyond the 13th star can fly in it. If the two warriors have reached the 13th star, you can enter directly by air and there won't be a need to pay a fee to enter the city. Kaya stared at the two of them as her eyes glimmered with interest. Jian Chen stared into the distance. Just as she had said, he discovered that every person who entered the city needed to pay a varying number of crystal coins to the soldiers. Jian Chen pulled out a 100-year-old heavenly resource from his space ring and said, Miss Kaya, we've used up all the crystal coins on us. Is it possible to use this heavenly resource to exchange for some crystal coins with Miss? Kaya smiled brightly and pulled out a small, bulging bag of money from her space ring. Warriors, here are 100 grand quality crystal coins. Just treat it as a gift from me. Please keep the heavenly resource, warriors. After some silent thought, Jian Chen accepted the bag full of coins from Kaya. Since it's like this, then treat it as if the two of us owing Miss Kaya a favor. We'll definitely repay it in the future when we get the chance. Jian Chen and Nubis separated with Kaya outside the city. They directly paid the fee with the 100 grand quality crystal coins and disappeared into the crowds. Miss, do you perhaps know these two warriors? Why did you give 100 grand quality crystal coins to them so magnanimously? That's not a small amount, asked a guard in confusion after Jian Chen and Nubis left. Kaya watched as the two of them disappeared into the crowds. I practice the innate spirit opening technique so I can look into certain things much deeper than other people. I believe in my instinct. The two of them are not simple, forming a good tie with them right now might just bring great benefits to our tribe in the future. But, no buts, let's go into the city. Inside Jas City, Jian Chen and Nubis strolled through its bustling streets. In order to not draw attention, Nubis had already changed his golden hair and clothes to blue on purpose, while Jian Chen remained the same. It was approaching the great auction that Jas City held once every 100 years, so conversations about it could be heard everywhere on the streets. Apparently, there'll be a lot of treasures that'll appear in the auction this time. It's drawn in people from many large tribes, so it'll definitely be another fierce battle between them when the time comes. I heard that there'll be 3D level saint techniques in the auction this time. I wonder if that's true or not. Saint techniques were equivalent to the battle skills from the Tianyuan continent and were just another name for them. The saint techniques were divided into 4 levels by the Sea Race, the Tian level, D level, Xian level and Huang level respectively. The Tian level was the most powerful, equivalent to Saint-tier battle skills on the Tian Yuan continent, while the Huang level was the lowest, equal to human-tier battle skills. There's not just D-level Saint techniques. I heard that there's also going to be a Tian level Saint technique for auction too, but it doesn't seem to be complete. Only 30% seems to be there. There's also liquid mercury in this auction. It's a substance from the Sea of Despair and is created by the world. It's extremely rare and is sacred to the sea race. With just a mouthful of it, someone with ordinary talent can gain talent that is even rarely seen in 1,000 years. I heard there's also going to be a Class 8 Radiant Spirit Pill for auction. It's from the distant Tian Yuan continent and is an extremely valuable medicine for healing. It's worth cities. It's rumored that a fragment of the Octaterra map is for auction. It was left behind by the Octaterra Emperor 10,000 years ago who had reached the 17th star. It's the key to opening the Octaterra Divine Hall. Inside the hall is the Octaterra Emperor's legacy and all of his belongings. There are 8 fragments to the Octaterra map. It's rumored that 7 fragments have already appeared, now all in the hands of the 7 great tribes. Looks like the one this time is the final fragment. Jian Chen and newbies strolled down the streets, observing the local customs and traditions of the sea race as they listened to the people in the surroundings talk. This Octo-something emperor was actually a 17th star expert. According to how the strength of the sea race is divided, he should be a saint emperor. That's a dwelling left behind by a saint emperor. Interesting, muttered newbies as he stroked his chin. An expression of great interest appeared in his eyes. Just as Jian Chen wanted to tell newbies to keep a lower profile, Zi Ying's voice sounded in his head. Master, I've found another material to craft the azulate swords. It's 10 kilometers ahead. Chapter 861, The Mysterious Woman. What? You found another material? Jian Chen rejoiced, immediately speeding up his footsteps as he walked forward. Traveling 10 kilometers, Jian Chen arrived before a grand castle. He already knew that the material for the azulate swords was inside this castle from Ziying. The Jas auction. Staring at the grand words on the castle, Jian Chen realized that the materials for the azulate swords would likely be sold off in the form of an auction. Every material for the azulate swords was extremely rare and unique. It would be very hard to destroy them. Other than the materials with some particular, miscellaneous uses, the others were not objects that could be used by people of this world. However, due to their rarity and unique characteristics, they possessed a certain price and were collected as treasures by many wealthy people. Master, this is the holy water of the Spirit Sea. It is a liquid that only forms in a spirit sea after countless years and possesses wondrous effects. When people below Saint King consume it, not only will it greatly increase their strength, it also has the effect of refining their soul, sounded Zi Ying's voice. He provided a detailed explanation of the uses of the holy water. Zi Ying, why do I feel like this holy water is something for increasing strength and not for forging items? Jian Chen asked curiously. Master, you may not know that the holy water is filled with natural world essence. When you forge the swords, the quality will be greatly increased if you add in the holy water. It can even raise the quality of the azulate swords directly from a low-quality immortal artifact to peak quality, explained Ziying. Jian Chen reached an understanding and thought, this holy water is actually even useful for saint rulers. There must be a lot of people fighting over for it. I need to get my hands on some of this place's currency. Anyway, I can't let anyone else win the holy water. If someone else ingests it, wouldn't that mean I missed an opportunity to obtain it? Although Jian Chen had large quantities of purple coins, they were worth nothing to the sea race. They were completely useless here. Jian Chen, what are you standing there blankly for? Newbies could not help but ask out of curiosity as he saw Jian Chen standing there blankly. Jian Chen looked towards the auction center. There's something I need in there. I need to find a way to get some crystal coins. That won't be easy. You might as well head into the wilderness and rob some people, Newbies said boldly. With that, Jian Chen broke into laughter. Newbies, so much for being a great snake emperor. You actually want to go do those things as an impressive class 7 magical beast. Newbies scratched his head and chuckled. Isn't it just the strong eating the weak? That's the principle for survival in this world. There's nothing embarrassing about it, though to rob others just for some crystal coins is indeed rather embarrassing with our status. Whatever, Jian Chen, let me hear your suggestion. Do you have any method to make money? After a period of thought, Jian Chen said, there's still half a month's time before the auction begins. We have time. Let's first settle down in an inn and think of a way to make crystal coins. If push really comes to shove, I can only auction off some of the valuable heavenly resources in my space ring. Jian Chen really did not want to sell off the things in his space ring unless he had to. This was because probably only the 10,000-year-old heavenly resources and stalks of dragon saliva would be accepted by the sea race out of all his valuable possessions. Just selling them would be rather regretful. As for monster cores, they were not as effective to the sea race compared to humans. They were not worth much and the energy in many of his high-class monster cores had solidified and leaked away, so they were worth even less. At that very moment, a conversation from some passers-by attracted Jian Chen's attention. The Dare tribe really has screwed up this time. They actually offended the Menghuang tribe. The Menghuang tribe's well-renowned in this area within a radius of 100,000 kilometers. Apparently, they have 3 13th star Sea Soul warriors with them. 3 Sea Soul warriors who have reached the 13th star is enough to make a clean sweep of all organizations in this area. They're invincible and I heard one of the former patriarchs is still alive. He's reached the 14th star long ago and is one of the peak experts in this region. I also heard that the former patriarch has a pretty good relationship with an emissary from the Serpent God Hall. Many of the other large tribes do not dare to offend him. The Dare tribe only has one person who has reached the 13th star. I want to see how they repel the attacks from the Menghuang tribe. I heard that there's a spiritual vein that's rich with crystal coins in the territory of the Dare tribe. They mine a lot of crystal coins from it and it has made several tribes in the surrounding region green with envy. The Menghuang tribe seems to have their eyes on this spiritual vein in the Dare tribe's control and want to take it. Looks like this vein of crystal coins is fated to end up with the Menghuang tribe. That might not be the case. I heard that the Dare tribe is offering great prices everywhere to recruit powerful people. They plan to have a battle to the death with the Menghuang tribe. Becoming enemies with the Menghuang tribe is not a smart choice. I don't think there's anyone who'll take up the offer. Hearing this, Jian Chen immediately began to ponder while his eyes constantly flickered with light. Jian Chen, surely you don't plan on helping that Dare tribe repel the Menghuang tribe? Newbies could not help but ask after seeing how Jian Chen behaved. The Dare tribe only has one 13th star Sea Soul warrior. They should be below the 5th heavenly layer as a saint ruler and are much weaker than the Menghuang tribe. They're looking for experts to fend off the Menghuang tribe, so the price would definitely be quite large. Maybe we could give that a try and make some crystal coins in the meantime, said Jian Chen in thought. It's extremely likely for our presences to be discovered by them in a battle with saint rulers of the sea race. If they find out that we are foreigners, we might encounter many problems in the future, said Newbies. Let's find an inn to settle down first. We can think over this slowly, suggested Jian Chen. Afterward, the two of them found quite an extravagant inn to stay in. The pair gathered in a large, comfortable room, discussing over matters. They had just arrived in the territory of the sea race and only the sea race possessed the strength to repel the 10 protector clans and the beast god continent. As a result, they would definitely stay with the sea race for quite some time, so they needed to keep a relatively low profile when they did things in order to not cause too much trouble and be marked as public enemies. Members of the sea race have rather similar bodies to humans. The only troubling thing would be our presences. If we can conceal it, then we wouldn't need to keep such a low profile, murmured Jian Chen. When Jian Chen reached this point, his complexion suddenly changed. He turned around to look behind himself abruptly and his eyes narrowed instantly. Sensing Jian Chen's actions, newbies also looked behind him, which immediately made his expression change greatly as well. His eyes instantly became extremely narrowed, while vast energy surged within him. He had already made preparations to attack at any moment. A faint figure quickly condensed in the direction that they looked at, floating half a meter above the ground. It was a lady with long, blue hair who wore a blue dress. She possessed a devilish body, while her face was a blur, without anything that could be made out. "Who are you?" Jian Chen growled. He was stern. If it were not for that fact that his soul had strengthened from the absorption of the yin-yang qi, he would not have been able to detect this lady's appearance at all. He could clearly feel that her figure was an image completely condensed from the soul. "Jian Chen, who I am is not important. You just need to know that I have no ill intentions to you." A clear, eloquent voice sounded, which was as pleasant to the ear as a lark's cry. "How do you know my name?" Jian Chen's face became extremely ugly. Nubiz's complexion also changed drastically. The lady had mentioned Jian Chen's name right from the start. Wouldn't that mean she knew all about the matters regarding Jian Chen on the Tianyuan continent? "I bear no ill intentions, so you have no need to be cautious. I have come specially to help you this time," the woman said gently. Afterward, without any movements from her, two blue, thumb-sized pearls appeared suddenly and hung in the air before them. "These are water spirits' pearls. They're forged by me from the Niden of members of the sea race. You only need to ingest them and it'll be able to conceal your presence as an outsider completely. They are of no harm to you. Just who are you? Why are you helping us?" Jian Chen and Nubies did not accept the Naden straight away. They felt extremely curious about the lady's identity. "You will know of my identity naturally in the future. Jian Chen, I've helped you twice. You need to help me too in the future," said the lady. "You've helped me twice?" Jian Chen was greatly confused. "If it weren't for me, how would you escape from the human experts? That was the first time I helped you, and gifting you the water spirit's pearls would be my second time assisting you. Jian Chen, as long as you remain with the sea race, I will help you block the outside experts of the Beast God continent and the Tianyuan continent. You will have no worries about that. In the future, when you're strong enough, you need to help me with something. What do you want me to help you with? If it's beyond my capabilities, you might end up disappointed," said Jian Chen. "I've searched the entire world and probably only you have the ability. If even you are unable, then there would be no one else in the world. You will naturally learn of exactly what you need to do in the future." The woman's voice was clear and eloquent and carried an unfathomable effect. "Also, there is the 8 fragments of the Octaterra map. The 7 other fragments have all ended up in the hands of 7 great tribes. The last fragment is in this auction. You must obtain it, it's of great use to you in the future. Right now, you're in the territory of the Serpent God Hall. You won't be able to stay here in the future. Go to the Sea Goddess Hall. You'll be safe there. Remember, you must obtain a fragment of the Octaterra map. Inside it contains the wealth of the Octaterra Emperor." With that, the illusionary woman disappeared. Chapter 862, 10 million grand quality crystal coins. Jian Chen and Nubies were both in deep thought as the words from the illusionary lady echoed through their heads. However, they were even more curious about her identity. But they both knew that since the lady dared to boldly say that she could help them block the experts from the Tianyuan continent and the Beast God continent, her strength would definitely be extremely great. Moreover, she most likely possessed an extraordinary status among the sea race. "Jian Chen, do you think that the words from that woman who hides are reliable or not? Do the 2 water spirits' pearls that she gifted really pose no harm to us?" Nubies turned to Jian Chen. Jian Chen stared at the 2 pearls for a while. "It doesn't matter whether that mysterious woman's words are true or false. Since she needs my help, she shouldn't harm us. Let's ingest the pearls and see if they really do have the wondrous effect she described before. With that, Jian Chen grabbed the pearl floating before him and swallowed it. As the water spirit's pearl slid down his throat, Jian Chen only felt a cool sensation spread through every corner of his body. He did not find it uncomfortable at all. Jian Chen closed his eyes and inspected the conditions of his body. Only when he found that nothing was wrong did he slowly open his eyes. He said to Nubis, "It should be safe." Nubis stared at Jian Chen in surprise and exclaimed, "Jian Chen, I feel like your presence has undergone some changes. It's actually become exactly the same as the presence from a member of the sea race. Looks like that mysterious woman hasn't tricked us. The water spirit's pearls really can change the presence of us foreigners." Nubis immediately grabbed the pearl floating before him and gulped it down without any hesitation. As the pearl entered his stomach, Jian Chen could also feel clearly that Nubis's presence changing quickly. His presence as a magical beast became masked and was replaced by a presence that was exactly the same as a member of the sea race. Jian Chen could not help but curl his lips into a happy smile after seeing this. "Nubis, your presence has changed too. I can't sense the magical beast's presence from you with my current strength. It's great now. Our worries from before have been completely eliminated. We'll finally be able to move about among the sea race without worrying about troubles that much. Yeah, from now on, I can swagger when I walk among the sea race. Oh yeah, Jian Chen, don't you need a lot of crystal coins? We can help the Dare tribe repel the Menghuang tribe's invasion. Since the Dare tribe possesses a spiritual vein that produces crystal coins, they must be extremely wealthy. We need to take advantage of them viciously and rake it all in," said Nubis. As soon as they reached the topic of proper business, Jian Chen's smile gradually disappeared. He lowered his head in thought and said, "I've overheard some passers-by and learned that the Menghuang tribe has 3 13th star Sea Soul warriors and 1 14th star Sea Soul warrior. According to how power is divided on the Tian Yuan continent, 13th star Sea Soul warriors should be saint rulers below the 5th heavenly layer, while 14th star Sea Soul warriors should be saint rulers above the 5th heavenly layer. If the Menghuang tribe really only has that much power, we should be able to handle it easily. We might as well investigate the Menghuang tribe's strength some more and see if they have any saint kings. As long as there aren't any saint kings on their side, it won't be a problem," said Nubis. "Fair enough. Jas City is a large city, so there should be places where information is brokered. Let's go look into the Menghuang tribe's full strength first," said Jian Chen, before leaving the inn with Nubis. Jian Chen and Nubis traveled through the streets and after some investigation, they finally found a place that brokered confidential information. It was a small pavilion by the name of World's Connection. The pavilion was built from stone and was covered by marks left behind by time. Obviously, it had existed for a very long time. It was extremely cold and cheerless within the pavilion, with extremely simple decor. There was no one else other than Jian Chen and Nubis. "Warriors, you must have come for information regarding the auction this time. Please be patient, there has been quite a few people who have come for information regarding the auction in the past few days. Right now, those in charge are receiving some guests upstairs. They'll be done very quickly." A voice sounded from the reception desk nearby. Jian Chen and Nubis looked over and saw a shrewd young man sitting behind the counter, looking at the two of them. This young man was extremely small, only a meter tall. Jian Chen walked over to the reception and said to the young man, "Apparently you know about everything here. Is that true? Warriors, it seems like you do not have too great of an understanding of the ability of our world's connection. We have many members who are virtually scattered throughout the ocean. Although we're not necessarily the most powerful, no one dares to challenge us in terms of the information we know in the realm of the sea," guaranteed the young man. He was extremely confident. "All right. I want to know the exact strength that the Menghuang tribe possesses," said Jian Chen. The shrewd young man could not help but closely study Jian Chen and Nubis. He immediately became courteous and said unhurriedly, "Esteemed warriors, you must want to help the Dare tribe. This one just happens to know all about the Menghuang tribe, so I'll be the one informing the two warriors. However, according to the rules, you would need to pay 10 high-quality crystal coins as a price. An hour later, Jian Chen and newbies departed the pavilion. They had already gained a detailed understanding of the Menghuang tribe from World's Connection. In the end, it was roughly just as the passers-by had said except for some minute differences. The Menghuang tribe had a total of 3 saint rulers below the 5th heavenly layer and 1 above. They were not what Jian Chen focused on. Instead, the person who Jian Chen and newbies really cared about was the talented member of the tribe who was an emissary of the Serpent God Hall. He had even been accepted as a disciple by an elder of the organization and had some status among the hall. The Dare tribe was rather close to Jas City. They were only around 10,000 kilometers away. He headed toward it with newbies after learning its exact location in Jas City. The Dare tribe was a medium-sized tribe that reached into the 10,000s in terms of people. It was located on a flat plain and many small buildings made of stone stood in the surroundings. In the very center was a castle-like structure that took up several thousand square meters. Jian Chen and newbies flew there from Jas City. They did not enter through the main entrance and instead directly flew to the center of the tribe, stopping before the castle-like structure. Who are they? Take guard. 2 people with great flags immediately alerted the entire tribe. At once, many people with the strength of Heaven's Saint Masters flew over from all directions, surrounding these 2 unknown and uninvited guests along with a few Earth Saint Masters. Warriors, who are you? State your intentions, growled an old Heaven Saint Master. He was grim, as if he was facing great enemies. The other people were all filled with vigilance too. They glared at the 2 of them but did not do anything extreme. Newbies crossed his arms and sneered as he studied the surrounding people. His face was filled with great disdain. Jian Chen remained as usual. He looked around at the people and said calmly, "Is this the Dare tribe?" "Correct, this indeed is the Dare tribe." "Warriors, may I ask who you are?" The speaker was still the old man from before, but now he seemed to realize that the 2 of them were not enemies. As such, he could not help but ease up on his voice. "We've come to help you repel the Menghuang tribe. Is this how you welcome people who have come to help you?" Jian Chen stared right at the old man and said casually. With that, the old man rejoiced. His attitude immediately took a great turn and he said with smiles, "So the warriors are the valued guests of my Dare tribe? Please come in, warriors, please come in. Before, we thought you were people from the Menghuang tribe. If we have offended you in any way, please forgive us." The old man did not raise the matter of Jian Chen and newbies intruding on the Dare tribe, courteously escorting them into the castle. Within the Grand Castle, Jian Chen and newbies met the Grand Elder of the Dare tribe. He too was a Heaven Saint Master, at the peak of the 6th cycle. He was only an inch away from becoming a saint ruler. In the Dare tribe, his status was only second to the Patriarch. "I am the Grand Elder of the Dare tribe, Lord Jesk. I welcome the warriors for coming to assist our Dare tribe against the Menghuang tribe. I wonder how may I refer to the 2 warriors?" The Grand Elder smiled at Jian Chen and newbies. However, his eyes glimmered with interest, constantly studying the 2 of them as if he wanted to learn them inside out. "I am Yang Yutian. The one beside me is my good friend newbies. Grand Elder, I wonder how much is your Dare tribe willing to offer as remuneration for helping you repel the Menghuang tribe?" If it's not enough, Jian Chen got straight to the point without any other superfluous words. The Grand Elder paid no heed to Jian Chen's straightforwardness. He smiled. "Don't worry, warriors. In order to protect our tribe so we are not be swallowed up by the Menghuang tribe, my tribe will be paying quite the price. As long as you are able to fend off the Menghuang tribe's attack and heavily injure them, my tribe is willing to offer up all of its crystal coins." "I hope the Grand Elder can give us an exact number," said Jian Chen with a smile. The Grand Elder chuckled and replied, "Right now, my tribe can take out a total of 10 million grand quality crystal coins. These 10 million coins will be paid according to the strength and deeds of the warriors who help my Dare clan. The stronger they are, the more coins they'll receive. Jian Chen and newbies looked at each other. They were internally stunned by the Dare tribe's wealth. Although they had only just arrived in the sea race's territory, they had an extremely great understanding of the value of the crystal coins. A single grand quality crystal coin was worth 100 high quality crystal coins, 10,000 medium quality crystal coins, and 1,000,000 low quality crystal coins. Meanwhile, an organization as large as the Dare tribe could be considered as wealthy if they could pull out 5 million grand quality crystal coins in one go, yet the Dare tribe had taken out 10 million. They could not help but call the Dare tribe very wealthy. 10 million grand quality crystal coins was a great sum among the sea race. It was comparable to the wealth of some large tribes. Grand Elder, will be taking all 10 million of your Dare tribe's grand quality crystal coins, newbies said boldly. Chapter 863, The Power of a Punch. Newbies' words immediately caused the Grand Elder's face to stiffen. A slightly awkward expression appeared. Noticing the Grand Elder's expression, Jian Chen asked with a slightly heavy tone, "Is there something wrong about that?" Perhaps he realized that the two of them were not very happy anymore, so the Grand Elder immediately followed up. "Warriors, may I ask how many stars you are on? Looks like the Grand Elder is worrying about our strength." "Please do not worry. If the Menghuang tribe only has as much strength as described, the two of us can handle it without much difficulty," guaranteed Jian Chen. "Perhaps the two warriors have already reached the 14th star." The Grand Elder exclaimed uncontrollably while he ravished with joy. A mysterious smile appeared on Jian Chen and newbies' face, but they did not say anything. The Grand Elder of the Dare tribe stood up. "Please wait, warriors. I will invite the Patriarch immediately. Come, please receive the two esteemed warriors properly for me." With that, the Grand Elder hurried away excitedly. With the Grand Elder's departure, only Jian Chen and newbies remained seated in the large hall. "There's another 3 saint rulers here in this Dare tribe. One of them should be the Patriarch of the tribe, while the other 2 should also be experts of the sea race who have come to assist them in repelling the Menghuang tribe," Jian Chen said softly. He was extremely indifferent. Newbies nodded. "I've sensed that too. Looks like there are competition. Just the two of us is enough to handle the Menghuang tribe. There's no need for others to participate or the crystal coins will decrease. We need to chase away all competition." "You're right," agreed Jian Chen. Very soon, the Patriarch and the Grand Elder of the Dare tribe arrived at the hall together. The Patriarch was a burly, middle-aged man. He was bald and his face was resolute. He wore a water-blue vest, which left his 2 thick arms uncovered. The well-defined muscles on his arms were visually impactful and he wore a pair of shorts that only reached his knees. Jian Chen could not help but connect his attire with the mercenaries that rushed about on the Tian Yuan continent daily. "Ha ha ha, I welcome the 2 warriors to my Dare tribe as guests. My Dare tribe is honored to have your presence." As soon as the Patriarch entered the hall, he chuckled aloud. He seemed extremely bold and generous. After a few casual words with the Patriarch, Jian Chen reached the main topic of discussion with him. "I've already heard from the Grand Elder along the way. The 2 warriors want the entirety of the 10 million grand quality crystal coins. Is that true?" The Patriarch said seriously while he studied the 2 of them closely with glimmering eyes. "Correct, we'll be taking all 10 million crystal coins. We'll help you repel the 4 experts from the Menghuang tribe," newbies said boldly. He completely looked down upon the saint rulers from the Menghuang tribe. "Do the 2 warriors have an understanding of the Menghuang tribe's strength? Are you sure you have confidence in dealing with the 4 of them?" asked the Patriarch. "You don't need to worry. As long as they're not 15th star sea soul warriors or don't possess Tian level saint techniques, they won't even be a threat to us," newbies said confidently. He had it all worked out already. A sliver of joy immediately appeared on the Patriarch's face, but it was soon followed up by a sliver of awkwardness. Warriors, your strength astounds me, but a 13th star and 14th star Sea Soul warriors arrived before you and we have already reached an agreement with them. Well, isn't that simple? You can just dismiss the two of them, said Nubis. Dismiss? I want to see who's arrogant enough to boast like that. As soon as Nubis finished what he was saying, an angry old voice boomed from outside. At the same time, a black-robed old man angrily strode in from outside. Behind the old man followed a middle-aged man in tight robes. Right now, he was filled with anger too. The two of them were the experts who had arrived before Jian Chen and Nubis to assist the Dare tribe. The patriarch immediately stood up to greet the two. He was extremely courteous, as the two of them were not any weaker than himself. As the patriarch, he needed to think for the tribe and could not offend any saint rulers so easily. Not to mention that these two saint rulers were helpers who had come to assist the Dare tribe in repelling the Menghuang tribe. As proud as ever, Nubis did not treat the two of them politely. He glanced past them coldly and a sliver of disdain appeared in his eyes. He said coldly, "You dare to speak to me, the great Nubis, with a voice like that? Looks like you don't even know how to spell death. Old man, if you're smart, piss off far and wide right now or I'll wipe out your origin soul." The black-robed old man became enraged, abruptly narrowing his eyes. He yelled, "You arrogant brat, you actually dare to look down on people like this? Let's see if you actually have the right to be arrogant or not." With that, the old man's hand turned into a claw that he swung toward Nubis with lightning speed. At the same time, the space around Nubis froze immediately. The old man had already immobilized Nubis with his spatial force. Mockery appeared on Nubis's face. With a slight jolt of his body, the frozen space in the surroundings shattered immediately. He formed a fist with his hand, hurling it forward mightily without a pause. As the two fists collided, a boom erupted. Air shot off in all directions violently, which caused the entire hall to be jolted. If it were not for the fact that the patriarch had used his own strength in the crucial moment to protect the hall, it might have collapsed entirely. The old man immediately began to pale, stumbling backward. With every step, he left behind a deep footprint, only stabilizing himself after taking more than 10 steps. With that, he could no longer hold it down any longer and immediately vomited a mouthful of blood. He was quite badly injured. On the other hand, Nubis remained unperturbed as before, standing there casually. He did not even move. As a silver-striped golden snake, a beast of antiquity, his capability for battle was already extremely great. Combined his strength as a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler, there were rarely any enemies who could match him. Probably only supreme saint kings could put some pressure on him. The old man before him was a 14th star Sea Soul warrior, but he was only in the 7th heavenly layer. How could he be Nubis' opponent? Not only did Nubis' strength astound the black-robed old man, it even shocked the patriarch of the Dare tribe very much. Nubis' power greatly exceeded what he had anticipated. The patriarch returned to his senses very quickly, immediately running in to stop the two of them. He begged, "Please calm down, warriors, please calm down. Why must you get into such a big fight over something so small? My small territory won't be able to withstand a struggle between the two warriors." Jian Chen stood up from his seat and looked at the two other people. With clasped hands, he said, "Sirs, forgive us but please leave. The two of us need crystal coins urgently, so we'll be taking all 10 million of them." The black-robed old man was sheet-white. He clasped his hands at Nubis and said expressionlessly, "This warrior's strength is admirable. I, Xia Wang, will not be participating in this time. Patriarch, since you've invited even stronger warriors, there's no need for me to stay. Farewell." Throwing that down, the old man turned around and left. The patriarch sighed secretly, before pulling out a space belt from his space ring, tossing it to the old man. "Xia Wang, I need to apologize for this. There are 100,000 high-quality crystal coins inside it. Please take this as a gift from the Dare tribe." The old man did not reject it. He accepted the space belt tossed over by the patriarch and quickly looked through it. His expression eased, before he clasped his hands at the patriarch. Thanks. The patriarch could finally relax a little. The old man here was much stronger than him. His tribe could not offend him. With the departure of the black-robed old man, the other middle-aged man who had come to assist the Dare tribe did not stay much longer either. He left after a conversation with Jian Chen and Nubis, no longer daring to carry an expression of unhappiness. Nubis' strength had shocked him deeply. However, before he left, the patriarch gifted him the same amount of crystal coins, neutralizing any unhappiness that may have existed between the two. Grand Elder, announced the news immediately. My Dare tribe has already found enough experts to deal with the Menghuang tribe. We can now officially take down the recruitment notice. The patriarch immediately sent down orders. He was scared that more saint rulers would approach the Dare tribe to help only to be met with disappointment. Afterward, the patriarch led Jian Chen and Nubis with even more enthusiasm to a secret room, where they discussed the matter in detail. Seeing how Nubis heavily injured a 14th star Sea Soul warrior with a single punch, the patriarch was now at ease completely. He was confident that the two of them possessed the strength to fend off the Menghuang tribe. Patriarch, do you know when the Menghuang tribe will attack? Jian Chen asked. The patriarch said after some thought, the auction that occurs once every century is about to be held in Jas City. A fragment of the Octaterra map will appear in the auction this time, so many large organizations will fight for it. Other than that, many rare treasures will be auctioned off as well. I believe the Menghuang tribe will attack us after the auction, and take control of the spiritual vein in our possession. I just never thought that the Menghuang tribe would even take a fancy for our small spiritual vein that only produces 100,000 grand quality crystal coins when they're already in possession of a medium-sized one. Chapter 864, The Menghuang Tribe, Patriarch, the auction just happens to have what we need. When the auction starts, I wish that the Patriarch can accompany us and help us buy what we need, said Jian Chen. With that, a sliver of hesitancy appeared on the Dare tribe Patriarch's face. Jian Chen understood what he was worrying about, so he followed up. Don't worry, Patriarch. We are men of our word. Since we have agreed, we will definitely do it. Once the auction ends, we will definitely help you deal with the Menghuang tribe. If the Menghuang tribe does not come, we'll kill our way into the Menghuang tribe on our own accord. Is that fine? Sure. Since the two warriors have put it like that, I will try to cooperate to the best of my ability, said the patriarch as he smiled gently. Afterward, Jian Chen and Nubis settled down in the Dare tribe and awaited any sudden attacks from the Menghuang tribe. They were warmly welcomed by the entire tribe and treated like kings. At the same time, the news that the Dare tribe had found enough experts to deal with the Menghuang tribe was broadcasted out too. It raised quite a large commotion. Other than the grand auction of Jas City held once every 100 years, the discussions between people now involved the battle between the Menghuang tribe and the Dare tribe. Although there was a great disparity in strength between the two tribes, they both had saint rulers. On the Tian Yuan continent, they would be hermit clans, large tribes that stood at the peak in a radius of 100,000 kilometers within the territory of the sea race. The battle between the two tribes would naturally raise the attention of many people. In an ancient forest 50 kilometers from the Dare tribe, small buildings completely made from wood filled the surroundings. People constantly flowed in and out, while sounds of laughter and cheerfulness rang out from time to time. The atmosphere was extremely lively, teeming with life. This was the large tribe renowned in the region, the Menghuang tribe. In the center of the tribe stood a tall tower completely constructed from rock. The tower was the most sacred building in the tribe, its existence represented the peace and strength that the Menghuang tribe experienced with each generation. This was because the four most powerful protectors of the tribe lived in it. Currently, 4 old men sat around a table at the very top of the tower. They were all stern. I've just received the news that the Dare tribe has found enough experts to repel us. "I wonder if this is true or false," said a ruddy old man. He was the current patriarch of the tribe, while the three others were the two protector elders and the previous patriarch. The previous patriarch was the most powerful one here. "Looks like the Dare tribe plans to have a battle to the death with us. I just wonder what strength the experts they've recruited possess," a protector elder said huskily. Although the Dare tribe has some wealth, it's not enough for them to invite any true experts. "Also, our tribe is famed. One of our talented members have been selected to become an emissary of the Serpent God Hall. He has great status. In the territory of the Serpent God Hall, no one dares to treat us impolitely except for those peak-level tribes or clans. As such, I deduce that the Dare tribe's information is false, only made with the intent to make us fear them. The other possibility is that the helpers they've recruited don't actually want to help them and only want to con them out of their coins. As a result, I'm not going to pay any attention to this at all. As soon as the auction concludes, we'll kill our way into the Dare tribe," a protector elder analyzed. "Previous patriarch, what do you think?" The current patriarch asked the old man who remained sitting there with his eyes closed. The previous patriarch slowly opened his eyes. "Although we're so renowned that even several large tribes need to act courteously, we're not without enemies. I am guessing that there would probably be previous enemies among the experts that have been recruited by the Dare tribe, so we can't overlook this. Now that the auction in Jas City is about to start, the last fragment of the Octaterra map is about to appear too. It'll attract a fight from many large tribes, or even peak-level tribes, so it's inconvenient for us to start fighting before the auction. The three of you, go check on the Dare tribe to see whether it's true or not after the auction ends." In the blink of an eye, a dozen or so days passed. It was now the important day where the grand auction would start in Jas City. The emergence of the Octaterra map fragment had attracted many experts and large tribes to gather in Jas City long ago, which made it seem calm on the surface while matters surged beneath. It was the calm before the storm. Before the auction had even started, a large group of people had already gathered outside the auction center. Gazing over it, the group formed a sea of people. There were so many that even the nearby streets had become blocked. There was a constant hubbub of voices as people discussed things. A portion of the people had only come to watch, while the other portion had come for the auction. However, all those who had arrived beforehand did not possess much background. They were all people from a few small tribes or clans. 2 hours later, the loud sound set off fireworks rose up from the surroundings. A great boom followed afterward in the sky, which lit up the surroundings with colorful lights. It was quite beautiful. At the same time, the doors of the auction center were slowly opened too. The people who had crowded outside all began to move inward, entering the auction center in an orderly fashion. Around 30 meters up the huge auction castle, a round platform 100 meters wide slowly extended outward. It was for receiving special guests with great status and had reserved enclosure. On the platform, several dozen young girls dressed glamorously walked about gracefully. They all carried bright smiles and gave people a cordial feeling. As the platform stabilized, several waves of people flew up from the grounds, directly landing on the platform. They were warmly received by the female servants and led through a special tunnel to their enclosures. However, those who had the right to enter the platform were all prestigious members of the sea race. There were plenty of people from first-rate clans and tribes that were equivalent to hermit and ancient clans on the Tian Yuan continent. Jian Chen and Nubis also flew over with the patriarch of the Dare tribe from far away and directly entered the platform. Immediately, a servant walked up with a shining smile and said softly, "3 esteemed warriors, please present the number plate to your private enclosure so that this one can help lead the way." The patriarch immediately pulled out the number plate to his reserved enclosure and passed it to the servant. "Warriors, please follow me." The servant girl's smile was like 100 flowers blooming, extremely pretty. The 3 of them said nothing and followed the servant inside. Besides them, many other people from different tribes were also received by a servant then led into the castle. At this very moment, the patriarch's steps paused slightly. He suddenly glanced behind him, while a glaring light began to flicker through his eyes. A sliver of obscure killing intent rose from his body. There were plenty of saint rulers among the people who could be seated on the platform. The change in the patriarch was immediately noticed by them, so many of them immediately looked over curiously. However, no one said anything. Even though the Dare tribe was not powerful, he was still a saint ruler after all. No one wanted to provoke a saint ruler for nothing. Jian Chen and Nubis also halted their steps. When they saw the behavior of the patriarch, they immediately followed his gaze. They saw that in the distance, 3 old men flew toward the platform with several heaven saint masters. The 2 of them could tell with a single glance that the 3 old men were saint rulers. Warriors, they're people from the Menghuang tribe. The 3 leading old men are the present patriarch of the tribe and the 2 protector elders, the patriarch of the Dare tribe said softly. His gaze toward them was filled with an unconcealable hatred. A sliver of interest flickered in Jian Chen and Nubis's eyes. Their gazes toward the 3 old men immediately took a cold turn. Ha ha ha, I never thought that the patriarch of the Dare tribe would participate in the auction this time as well. It has really surprised the 3 of us. The 3 old men from the Menghuang tribe also discovered the Dare tribe patriarch's presence. Immediately, one of them laughed aloud. Hee hee, didn't the Dare tribe spend all its wealth searching for experts? How would you have additional crystal coins to come participate in the auction this time? The old man in the center laughed. He was the current patriarch. As he spoke, the 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe unconsciously studied Jian Chen and Nubis, who stood beside the patriarch of the Dare tribe. The face of the Dare tribe patriarch darkened. He sneered, Menghuang tribe, I want to see how long you can still act so arrogantly. After the auction concludes, my Dare tribe will be awaiting your Menghuang tribe's arrival. The 3 experts' expressions changed and their eyes immediately narrowed. The current patriarch said, Patriarch, I wonder what type of experts you have found to boast like this. The 2 warriors beside me are both powerful sea soul warriors of the 14th star. Menghuang tribe, do you really think that my Dare tribe is easy to oppress? The patriarch sneered. As soon as they heard that Jian Chen and Nubis were 14th star sea soul warriors, the 3 old men's expressions immediately became rather ugly. They really did not think that the Dare tribe would succeed in recruiting such experts. If the Dare tribe really did gain the assistance of 2 14th star sea soul warriors, their tribe would experience much greater difficulties in swallowing up the Dare tribe. They could even be faced with failure. The 3 old men immediately focused their attention on Jian Chen and Nubis. The patriarch of the Menghuang tribe said, May I inquire the names of these 2 warriors? Jian Chen glanced indifferently at the 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe. He did not pay much attention to them, turning around and speaking to Nubis and the Dare tribe patriarch, Let's go in. The auction's about to start. You are right. The auction's starting soon. We can't afford to waste time with the people from the Menghuang tribe. Let's go, let's go. The patriarch of the Menghuang tribe immediately followed with what Jian Chen wanted, before they were gradually led off into the distance by the female servant. Looking at the backs of the 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe who had been cast aside immediately became extremely ugly. Their faces became so dark that they would be on the brink of raining if they were clouds. The 2 mysterious people recruited by the Dare tribe are very powerful. I can't see through them at all, said a protector elder of the Menghuang tribe. I can't see through them either, and I can vaguely feel a vast pressure from the 2 of them. They're definitely sea soul warriors of the 14th star. Looks like the Dare tribe really has found the strength to deal with us, said the other protector elder. Chapter 865, The auction begins. It'll be extremely disadvantageous to us when experts like that help the Dare tribe. Since they've been drawn to the Dare tribe by crystal coins, I wonder if we can draw them over to us with an even greater price. If that's possible, our tribe's strength will increase even more again without a doubt, said a protector elder of the Menghuang tribe. The price to draw over 2 14th star Sea Soul warriors definitely won't be little. It'll be at least 10 million grand quality crystal coins, but if we want to take the spiritual vein in the Dare tribe's possession, this price will be worth it, murmured the current patriarch. Afterward, he followed a servant with the 2 protector elders and his clansmen into the auction center. The small disruption on the platform did not affect the auction at all. When the people of both clans disappeared from the platform, it became peaceful once again. Many large tribes and organizations arrived on the platform in an orderly fashion, before being escorted away by an enthusiastic servant. The auction of Jas City was extremely grand. The 50-meter-tall castle was emptied and divided into 10 floors, where each floor was filled with seats. At the very front was the stage where objects were displayed and auctioned off. The private enclosures were built into the highest parts of the walls. It wrapped around the entire castle, separated by a special type of glass. The people inside could see exactly what was going on outside, but people outside could not look in. Within the private enclosure, Jian Chen and Nubi sat comfortably on a soft sofa with satisfied expressions. The patriarch sat beside them, studying the situation of other enclosures through the special glass. The servant who had escorted the 3 of them carried many delicious desserts and fruits of unknown names, which she placed on the crystal table. She said, "Warriors, these are all delicious desserts and fruits of the sea race. Please try them as you please. I am called Lan Shuiling. If the warriors require anything, this servant will do her best to fulfill the warriors' requests." Lan Shuiling smiled brightly. She exuded a special charm, while a cheerful light flowed from her bright eyes. Nubis clutched his head on the sofa, half inclined. He squinted his eyes at Lan Shuiling while his lips curled into an evil smile. He joked, "If I, the great Nubis, wants your body, will you fulfill my request too?" "Of course." Lan Shuiling smiled charmingly and began to take off her clothes slowly. It immediately revealed a great section of her water blue skin. Seeing this, Jian Chen frowned slightly. He waved his hand at Lan Shuiling. "All right, you can stop stripping. The 3 of us need to discuss some important matters. You can go out for now. We'll call you when we need you." "Yes, esteemed warrior." Lan Shuiling stopped taking off her clothes and bowed courteously to the 3 of them, before leaving with gentle steps. "What a provocative girl," murmured Nubis as he watched Lan Shuiling disappear off into the distance with bright and limpid eyes. "Nubis, surely you haven't taken a liking to her." Jian Chen laughed softly. "Piss off. I, the great Nubis, do not take a liking for ordinary girls like that. Though you're pretty good, aren't you? To actually hook up with that devastatingly beautiful girl. Admirable, truly admirable." Nubis smiled evilly as he reached the end of these words. 2 hours later, the large center was finally filled with people. Various discussions filled the entire place like the constant buzzing of a bee. "Guests!" Suddenly, a bright voice rang out. It echoed through the entire center, and the voices of all those who were seated finally quietened down. In the blink of an eye, the noisy center became deathly silent. Only a large mass of people could be seen. A slightly skinny old man stood on the platform at the very front with a smile. The voice from before was his, and he was the auctioneer this time. He was a 13th star Sea Soul warrior. "Guests, I welcome you warmly to the grand auction held once every 100 years. Not only will we be displaying even more treasures and worldly wonders than previous auctions, we've also received the last fragment of the Octaterra map, which has received the attention of many large tribes." The auctioneer paused slightly when he reached here, before continuing, "I believe that many of the seated guests know very well about the origins of this fragment. It was left behind by the Octaterra Emperor, who once shook up the entire sea realm. The Octaterra Emperor was a cultivator of our sea realm who did not join any organizations, but he exceeded many geniuses with his own talent alone and without any master. He paved a path of corpses and bones in his life to the peak, shaking up the entire sea realm and becoming an emperor who received the respect of countless people. Although the emperor has passed away from age, the Octaterra divine hall he once constructed still remains. It has been sealed into a region of void by the Octaterra emperor's absolute strength, while the Octaterra map is the route to the divine hall and the key that opens it. The Octaterra emperor went without disciples, always by himself. It is rumored that when he passed away, he left his legacy and all he had learned in the Octaterra divine hall. I believe everyone understands extremely well what it means once they receive the legacy of the Octaterra emperor. He has also left all his belongings in the divine hall aside from his legacy. Everyone, I believe you have an even better understanding than old me about just how wealthy an emperor's belongings are. That's a vast wealth only second to the 3 supreme halls of our sea realm. Hearing this, a series of haggard breaths immediately appeared in the quiet crowd. The legacy and wealth of an emperor was a great, irresistible enticement to all those present. Even the members of peak-level clans could not remain calm. Seated within the private enclosure, Jian Chen and newbies could not help but have their hearts beat faster too. They were already deeply interested in the map fragment, while the patriarch had lost even more control compared to them. The great wealth had already dyed his eyes green with envy as he snorted roughly. However, the patriarch calmed down very quickly, gradually returning to how he was before. He knew that he had no future that would involve the map fragment. The matters regarding it were not something he could delve into. The auctioneer's voice rang out once again, 7 fragments have already appeared. This fragment will be the final one. Everyone, as long as someone obtains this map fragment, they'll gain the right to entire the Octaterra divine hall and gain some great blessing. Alright, I won't ramble anymore. As the main treasure for the auction this time, it'll be auctioned off last. We'll begin the auction now. The first treasure is, afterward, treasures were brought up and auctioned off one by one. The auction was only held once in 100 years, so without any doubt, all of the items were the finest of the fine. Everything brought on stage would institute a battle between many people. Various prices were called out one after another in a vicious battle of wealth. We'll now be auctioning off a ruler armament left behind by a human expert when he passed away in meditation. The starting price is 100,000 grand quality crystal coins. The auctioneer's voice rang through the entire building. Jian Chen and Nubiza's eyes snapped open abruptly. They stared in the direction of the stage in interest and watched a machete being brought up carefully by a skimpily dressed servant. It really is a ruler armament. It's a ruler armament left behind by a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. Jian Chen was secretly shocked. Every ruler armament was treated as a clan treasure by the hermit clans on the Tian Yuan continent. They were extremely valuable, but he never thought that in the sea, there would be people who would auction off these extremely valuable ruler armaments. According to what I know, only human experts can use ruler armaments. Are members of the sea race able to use them just like humans? Jian Chen thought, before looking toward the patriarch of the Dare tribe. He asked, Patriarch, may I ask exactly what the sea race uses the ruler armaments of humans for? With that, an astonished light flashed across the patriarch's eyes. However, he still provided a detailed explanation. Esteemed warrior, the ruler armaments of human experts are a rare treasure to the sea race. This ruler armament was left behind by a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler after he passed away. Not only does it contain his strength, it also contains quite a lot of the 3 vital energies. If we absorb it, it can greatly increase our strength. Are ruler armaments able to be refined and absorbed? Jian Chen was surprised. He did not think that the sea race would have this ability too, as he could only do so with the assistance of the sword spirits. Of course you can. As long as you use the spirit-converting formation of the sea race, you'll be able to refine the ruler armament into energy we can absorb. However, only we will use this method. Humans won't, because they can just use it directly and display great powers with it. For them, the strength brought on from a ruler armament is much greater than the energy gained from absorbing it, the patriarch explained. Is that so? Jian Chen reached an understanding. Members of the sea race were unable to use ruler armaments like humans, but they had methods to refine it into pure energy to absorb. 150,000 grand quality crystal coins. 180,000 grand quality crystal coins. 200,000 grand quality crystal coins. 250,000 grand quality crystal coins. The appearance of the ruler armament ignited an intense fight. The price quickly skyrocketed from 100,000 grand quality crystal coins to 500,000, and after another series of intense fights, it was sold off for a price of 800,000 grand quality crystal coins. It was bought by a large tribe. Chapter 866, Fight for the Divine Water of the World. Jian Chen shook his head. Although the crystal coins of the sea race and the purple coins from Tian Yuan continent were two different currencies, he knew that the ruler armament was sold for too low of a price. This was all because the effect of ruler armaments was not as great to the sea race compared to humans. If it were not for the fact that Jian Chen wanted to save enough money to buy the holy water of the Spirit Sea, he would participate in the auction and buy the ruler armament. Even though he had no use for it himself, the people around him could use it, as it was extremely difficult to obtain a ruler armament on the Tian Yuan continent. Afterward, valuable items were all auctioned off one by one. Not only were there various pills and medicines, there were also 10,000-year-old heavenly resources. However, these heavenly resources were all sold for a much lower price when compared to its price in purple coins on the Tian Yuan continent. This was because purple coins were only made from a metal that was valuable due to its scarcity. The metal's only use was to make coins, unlike the crystal coins that were condensed entirely from water-attributed world essence. They could be absorbed to increase one's strength and possessed an extremely great effect. We'll be auctioning a Class 8 Radiant Spirit Pill next. The pill originates from the distant Tian Yuan continent, and it's a divine medicine for healing wounds. It's extremely valuable. Even heavily injured 15th star or 16th star Sea Soul warriors would only need a second for their severe injuries to heal. It's equivalent to a second life. The starting price will be 200,000 grand quality crystal coins. 300,000 grand quality crystal coins, 350,000 grand quality crystal coins, 500,000 grand quality crystal coins. Class 8 Radiant Spirit Pills could only be produced on the Tian Yuan continent, and only Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters could create them. Very few ever made it to the Sea realm, so their value was obvious. As a result, the price of Class 8 Radiant Spirit Pills was far greater in the Sea realm than on the Tian Yuan continent. The single pill was sold for 1,200,000 grand quality crystal coins in the end. Jian Chen squinted his eyes as he sat half-inclined on the sofa. He thought to himself, I didn't think that Class 8 Radiant Spirit Pills would be so valuable. A single one was sold for a great price of 1,200,000 grand quality crystal coins. Now that I'm a Class 7 Radiant Saint Master, maybe I should create some of them and exchange them for crystal coins too. The creation of the pills might need a sliver of the origin energy of Radiant Scient Force, but the artifact spirit should have plenty of it. No need to waste mine. Though a problem would be the shell of the pills. There aren't any alchemists that know how to produce the shells, so I can't create those Class 8 Radiant Spirit Pills at all. Jian Chen already made up his mind. If all the conditions were right, he would definitely create a few Class 8 Radiant Spirit Pills. As long as he had enough pill shells, creating the pills using the artifact spirit's power should be a piece of cake. Even the legendary Class 9 Radiant Spirit Pills would not be a problem. In the blink of an eye, the auction had already continued for 2 whole days. It went for the whole length of time without any breaks. Fortunately, the people who were able to sit here possessed uncanny strength. 2 days without resting, eating or drinking was unable to affect them. The object to be auctioned next is a divine object that is rarely seen even in 1,000 years, the divine water of the world. This water is only produced in the dangerous divine realm. It appears once in 1,000 years and is extremely valuable, but you cannot ignore its powerful effects. With just a mouthful, it can reborn those with ordinary talent into cultivation geniuses rarely seen even in 1,000 years with unlimited potential. Other than this, the divine water has wondrous effects on 13th and 14th star sea soul warriors. Not only does it increase their strength greatly, it refines their souls and allows it to become much more powerful. This builds a solid foundation for when they reach the 15th star. If a sea soul warrior at the peak of the 14th star consumes it, they have a very great chance of overcoming the bottleneck and breaking through to the 15th star. There's only one portion of the divine water, so please value this very rare opportunity, warriors who are seeking it. You must not miss this chance or you'll have to wait another 1,000 years. The starting price will be 500,000 grand quality crystal coins. The appearance of the divine water immediately caused Jian Chen to focus his attention. He snapped open his slightly closed eyes and sat up straight from his half-inclined position on the sofa. This was because this divine water was the holy water of the spirit sea he required. It was produced in the spirit sea but just had a different name among the sea race. Noticing Jian Chen's reaction, Nubis asked, "Is the divine water what you wanted?" Jian Chen nodded. "Correct, this is extremely important to me. I need to obtain it no matter what." The patriarch of the Dare tribe glanced at Jian Chen. He said nothing. He knew the value of the divine water and was actually worried. He was unsure whether he could buy the divine water with 10 million grand quality crystal coins. It was always rumored among the sea race that those who ingested the water had an extremely great chance of reaching the 15th star or even the 16th star. As a result, whenever it appeared, many large tribes would fight over it. The intense battle for the divine water had already started. Many organizations who were seated in their own private enclosures had expressed their interest in the water, all speaking their price. Very quickly, the price rose up from the initial 500,000 crystal coins to over 3 million. "Patriarch, it'll all be up to you whether we win the divine water of the world this time." Jian Chen looked toward the patriarch with a stern expression. The patriarch forced a smile and said, "Esteemed warriors, my Dare tribe will do all it can to help you." Right now, the patriarch of the Dare tribe had no other choice. If he wanted to save the Dare tribe, he could only get on Jian Chen's good side with all he had. Jian Chen nodded before speaking his price, 5 million grand quality crystal coins. Jian Chen increased the price by over 1 million crystal coins in one go, causing the auction to fall silent instantly. Immediately, many people looked in his direction. 5,200,000 grand quality crystal coins. However, another price rang out very quickly that exceeded Jian Chen's 5 million. 5,400,000 grand quality crystal coins, 5,500,000 grand quality crystal coins, 5,600,000 grand quality crystal coins. The price continued to rise. There were still many people from large tribes who refused to give up on this fight. 8 million grand quality crystal coins. Jian Chen spoke his price from his private enclosure expressionlessly. The value of the holy water had greatly exceeded what he had anticipated. He already found it a little difficult to endure as he was now very close to the 10 million amount supplied by the Dare tribe. He could only raise the price madly, to express how determined he was in obtaining the water and to get others to back off. This time, the price was increased from 5 million and something to 8 million. It had jumped by a total of over 2 million crystal coins. This immediately frightening some people, clans, and tribes into giving up the battle for the divine water. The three experts of the Menghuang tribe sat on soft sofas in an enclosure opposite Jian Chen's. A protector elder said with a soft voice, "The previous patriarch is already approaching the peak of the 14th star. He's about to reach the 15th, so we need to obtain it." "You're right. Once the previous patriarch breaks through, the status of our tribe will increase once again. We need to buy it and bring it back for the previous patriarch," added the other protector elder. After some slight thought and silence, the current patriarch said, "The voice that increased it to 8 million seems rather familiar. It seems like it's one of the two mysterious experts that the Dare tribe has recruited, so that's even more reason why we can't let them obtain it." With that, he called out a price immediately, 8,500,000 grand quality crystal coins. Two middle-aged men in long blue robes sat in another enclosure with darkened complexions. They were also authoritative members of a large tribe, clearly with illustrious statuses. As the patriarch of my tribe, it's a pity my son's talent is ordinary. He probably won't even be able to reach the 11th star before the end of his life. How will he succeed me as patriarch in the future? The divine water just happens to be the solution to my son's problems. As long as I have the water, my son will immediately morph into a genius at cultivation. He'll experience no problems reaching the 13th star and will even have the chance to reach the 15th. I need to obtain the divine water of the world. 8,800,000 grand quality crystal coins, murmured one of the middle-aged men. He had named an even greater price. Four extremely ordinary-looking old men sat in another enclosure. One of them frowned with their eyebrows pinched, while a cold light flickered in his eyes from time to time. Let it go, Elder Ho-Tu, let's give up on the divine water of the world. Our target is the fragment of the Octaterra map. We need to save enough money for it. We can't waste too much on other things, said one of the old men as he looked at his unhappy companion. The downcast elder nodded and sighed softly. All right, we can only give up on the divine water. It's a pity for it to actually appear at the same time as the Octaterra map fragment. Otherwise, I would buy it no matter what. It's a wondrous treasure of the world rarely seen even in 1,000 years. 9 million grand quality crystal coins. A malicious-looking young man in tight, blue robes named his price from another enclosure. He had already reached the peak of the 14th star, equivalent to a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler on the Tian Yuan continent. The final barrier blocked him well and truly, making it extremely difficult for him to break through. He did not have much time left either, so he could only break through with the help of the divine water. I only have 100 or so years left. Even if I have to take out everything I've saved up in the past 3,000 years or even all my wealth, I have to win this divine water of the world. It's my only chance at breaking through, growled the young-looking man. A sliver of great killing intent appeared in his eyes. 9,500,000 grand quality crystal coins, Jian Chen broadcasted his price once again. Right now, he too had become downcast. He was only 500,000 coins away from his absolute limit. 10 million grand quality crystal coins. The current patriarch of the Menghuang tribe increased the price. He had come especially for the divine water of the world this time. His tribe had not even considered fighting for the Octaterra map fragment. It was something they had no interest in participating in at all. Chapter 867, Xia Wang Jian Chen's complexion immediately became extremely ugly. He clenched his fist tightly and powerful killing intent had vaguely appeared in his eyes. If it were other treasures that would be won by others, he still had the time to steal it, but the divine water of the world was different. Jian Chen was really worried that the buyer would consume it immediately after they won it from the auction, cutting off all possibilities of other people stealing it. 10,500,000 grand quality crystal coins, said the malicious-looking young man. His complexion was very ugly too. The price was approaching his limit. 11 million grand quality crystal coins, said a middle-aged man with gritted teeth from one of the enclosures. Jian Chen turned to the patriarch of the Dare tribe. Patriarch, may I ask how much more crystal coins your tribe is able to take out? Treat it as me borrowing the extra amount. I will definitely repay you with several times the amount. After some thought and silence, the patriarch said bitterly, if my Dare tribe empties its pockets completely, it should be able to pull out another 5 million grand quality crystal coins. Warrior, since you need it, my Dare tribe will give you the 5 million. We just need you to help us eliminate the Menghuang tribe to prevent any consequences. The patriarch's heart bled as he said that. The 15 million crystal coins were all the tribe's savings from the past 1,000 years. It had basically wrenched the tribe dry. Fortunately, they possessed a spirit vein so they could produce quite a lot of crystal coins every year. As long as the tribe was able to stay safe, it would be able to return to how it was without much time. Jian Qin did not act polite and said, "I will remember the patriarch's kindness. I will definitely return the 5 million coins several folds." 11,200,000 grand quality crystal coins, the voice from the Menghuang tribe rang out once again. In their enclosure, the foreheads of the three experts were covered with cold sweat. According to their estimations, they would only need 1 million grand quality crystal coins, yet the price had now far exceeded that. It was approaching their limit. Although their tribe possessed both a medium and a small-sized spirit vein, the crystal coins were inexpendable despite being able to produce so much every year. Moreover, their tribe was very populous and would consume a large number of crystal coins for cultivation every day. It would amount to 80% of the coins produced by the veins every year, while the remaining 20% would be stored away. They did not have much at all. 12 million grand quality crystal coins. I, Xia Wang, will be taking this divine water of the world. If there's anyone who's able to pay an even greater price, then do it. I won't be continuing the battle, the malicious-looking young man said loudly. A powerful killing intent slightly radiated from his body. The 12 million coins were all his wealth. They were only collected with difficulty from raiding many small tribes and killing countless experts of the sea race. He was unable to take out any more than that now. What? That person's actually Xia Wang. It's actually the terrifying Xia Wang who kills without even batting an eyelid. This Xia Wang is just too despicable. He actually robbed me on the way, forcefully taking 100,000 grand quality crystal coins. A hubbub of discussion immediately arose in the quiet auction center. All of them were discussing Xia Wang, while their voices were filled with anger and great hatred. Clearly, this Xia Wang had offended many people outside, but he was extremely powerful, so very few people dared to seek revenge on him. In a private enclosure, the middle-aged man immediately reacted after hearing the name. He muttered, "I never thought it would actually be Xia Wang." Xia Wang's a sea soul warrior at the peak of the 14th star. He's only an inch away from the 15th and he should be approaching the end of his life. If I win the divine water, Xia Wang will definitely hold back nothing and steal it. Bah, I'm not going for the water anymore. In the Menghuang tribe's enclosure, the two protector elders and the current patriarch also had extremely ugly expressions. Sigh, let's give up. Xia Wang's really powerful. He's reached the peak several hundred years ago and is far beyond the old patriarch. Even if you add the three of us and the previous patriarch, we'll probably only be able to reach a stalemate with him. If we keep going for the water, we'll definitely offend him. At that time, Xia Wang might just kill his way into our tribe and create a great disaster, sighed one of the protector elders. Ah, let's not fight for it anymore. Although the previous patriarch will probably be able to reach the 15th star in less than 100 years with the divine water, we'll probably be ambushed by Xia Wang halfway on the road before we make it back if it does end up in our hands. The current patriarch also spoke out his thoughts. He immediately gave up on the idea of obtaining the divine water. Xia Wang was a loner. He was free of ties and was approaching the end of his life. He no longer had anything to lose, so he could do anything. Let alone the other, smaller tribes, he would even dare to intrude peak-level tribes that had 15th star sea soul warriors protecting them. Xia Wang. The face of the patriarch of the Dare tribe became extremely unsightly. Exceedingly great fear appeared in his eyes. The name, Xia Wang, was like a thunderclap to him. This man was a harbinger of disaster 100 times more terrifying than the Menghuang tribe. I never thought he would also require the divine water so desperately. Warriors, let's not fight for it anymore. We can't offend Xia Wang because of this, said the patriarch to Jian Chen and newbies. He was pleading them. Jian Chen glanced at the patriarch before slowly closing his eyes. He sat back on the soft, comfortable sofa once again and said with an ordinary tone, "Why not fight? I need it desperately too. Let alone someone who's 14th star, even if it's 15th star Sea Soul Warrior, I would go for it too. But that Xia Wang, the patriarch's face was filled with worry. He was extremely fearful of Xia Wang. What are you scared for? Is this puny Xia Wang really that powerful? Why don't I, the great newbies, feel it? If this little shit really does want trouble, I'll make sure that he returns dead, scoffed newbies. The corner of his lips curled up with a sliver of disdain. Silver-striped golden snakes power up greatly after absorbing the hidden essence of their clansmen, but more importantly, they would evolve. They would evolve to a more powerful and greater existence. Although newbies did not evolve after absorbing the hidden essence from the Class 8 magical beast, his gains were not little. His strength increased greatly such that even if he encountered beasts of antiquity that were at the same level as him, he would still be filled with confidence of victory. 12 million going once, the auctioneer's voice rang through the entire center. Xia Wang is infamous. Very few people want to offend him. Looks like the divine water is destined to end up in his hands. I just hope he doesn't succeed in his breakthrough. Otherwise, there'll be no chance for our revenge. A hubbub of discussion rose up in the auction center once again. Everyone believed that no one dared to name another price. 12 million twice, 12 million, I will pay 12,100,000 grand quality crystal coins. At this very moment, an extremely casual voice rang out from one of the private enclosures. The voice immediately silenced the huge auction center. At that moment, all of the people present looked toward the room where the voice came from as if they wanted to see just who dared to go against the renowned Xia Wang. In another enclosure, Xia Wang smashed the crystal table before him with a fist. His face was filled with rage as he said icily, "All right, all right, all right. I want to see just who wants to be enemies with me, Xia Wang." The three experts from the Menghuang tribe were also stunned by Jian Chen's voice. They all looked toward his enclosure in astonishment. Never did they think that the two experts recruited by the Dare tribe would go against Xia Wang. All right, all right. Looks like heaven's will really is greater than a person's wishes. I never thought they'd actually offend Xia Wang. That'll do it. We don't even need to move anymore. The Dare tribe's probably already going to face a calamity. One of the protector elders from the Menghuang tribe laughed aloud. The two experts recruited by the Dare tribe may both be 14th star Sea Soul warriors, but there's still a huge disparity among 14th star Sea Soul warriors. Xia Wang's reached the peak of the 14th star long ago and he's only an inch away from reaching the 15th star. The Dare tribe's two experts definitely aren't enough to be his opponent, said the current patriarch of the Menghuang tribe as his face beamed with a happy smile. Jian Chen and newbies had offended the infamous Xia Wang. This was naturally something the Menghuang tribe was extremely willing to see. Not only did the sudden voice shock many people, it even stunned the auctioneer. Perhaps it was due to the fact that he never thought that there would actually be someone who would offend the great Xia Wang for some divine water of the world. The divine water of the world was valuable, but it was not limited after all. Some would appear in the divine realm almost every 1,000 years. Obtaining it would just be another story. It would not be that easy, unless someone possessed great strength or had a fortuitous encounter. 12,100,000 once. Is there anyone else who is willing to pay a greater price? Broadcasted the auctioneer. 12,100,000 twice, 12,100,000 three times. Sold. I hereby announce that the divine water of the world rarely encountered in 1,000 years has been won by the guests in enclosure number 58. Jian Chen could not help but smile slightly. He had collected another material for forging the azulite swords, which made him very happy. He felt that this journey was well worth the while. If he had not come to Jas City, he probably would not have been able to see the divine water. The auction continued and many other valuable treasures appeared. Another day passed just like this, before the main item for auction this time was finally reached, the fragment of the Octaterra map. Many first-rate tribes and clans had come for this map fragment, so the auction for it was naturally even more intense. In less than 20 minutes, the price of the map fragment rose from the starting price of 5 million crystal coins to over 50 million, yet there were still plenty of clans still battling for it. The price continued to scale upward. Jian Chen did not participate in the battle for the map fragment and instead sat and watched. At this very moment, Jian Chen's eyes froze. He immediately became rather stern. He could feel that many powerful people had arrived outside the auction center. There were plenty of Saint Kings. Jian Chen, looks like obtaining the Octaterra map fragment won't be easy. I can feel the presence of Saint Kings, and there's quite a few of them, Newbies said to Jian Chen through a mental message. His voice was heavy. That's Xia Wang's name, translated roughly to a crab king, while the one we have right now translates roughly to a malicious king. Chapter 868, The Incoming Storm, There's No Hurry. The Octaterra map fragment is directly connected to the legacy of a saint emperor. It will definitely cause many large organizations to become green with greed. All these Saint Kings are within my expectations. Right now, what we need to do is wait and watch, before finding an opportunity to take it while the others fight. Since the mysterious woman told us to fight over the map fragment, we need to try our best, Jian Chen replied with a mental message. He remained unperturbed. Jian Chen, we don't even know who that woman is. Are we supposed to just trust her like this? What if she's scheming something by telling us to obtain the map fragment? Newbies was rather worried. Jian Chen thought in silence for a while before he replied with another message, I may not know who that woman is, but she's extremely powerful. That is an undoubtable fact. She also knows everything about my situation on the Tian Yuan continent, including my matters with the 10 protector clans and my enmity with the beast god continent. If she wants to harm us, all she needs to do is make our identities public, but she has not done that. Moreover, from the conversation I had with her before, I learned that she isn't helping us for nothing this time. Fair enough. That woman did say that she would help you now and you would need to help her in the future. She probably won't harm us. Newbies nodded in agreement as he found it rather reasonable too. The two of them communicated with private messages, so their voices did not leak out at all. As a result, the patriarch of the Dare tribe beside them had no idea that they were conversing. 85 million grand quality crystal coins, 86 million grand quality crystal coins, the prices called out in the hall did not stop, the intense battle for the map fragment continued. There were over 10 large organizations participating in this fight for the map fragment. This lasted for roughly 15 minutes. The price of the map fragment had already reached 100 million crystal coins. The price was so great that even some large organizations were unable to continue and they all backed out one by one. However, there were still many wealthy groups unwilling to let go of the map fragment, so the price continued to increase over time. The battle for the map fragment only concluded after 4 whole hours. It was purchased by a peak-level clan from the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall for a great price of 380 million. With the sale of the map fragment, the Jas auction also officially reached its conclusion. Afterward, Jian Chen and Newbies went to the backstage of the auction to deal with the procedures for the Divine Water of the World. The Divine Water of the World was a name used by people of the sea race. Its true name was Holy Water of the Spirit Sea. Jian Chen accepted the bottle of holy water excitedly, carefully placing it into his space ring before leaving with Newbies and the Patriarch. As soon as he left the area where the items were distributed, a malicious-looking young man in tight, blue robes blocked Jian Chen's path. His eyes were cold, the depths of his eyes concealing a stern killing intent. Xia Wang. The Patriarch's expression immediately changed when he saw the young man and he cried out uncontrollably. Jian Chen and Newbies studied the young man who seemed to be about the same age as Jian Chen with interest. Jian Chen said with a slight smile, "You must be Xia Wang. Cut the bullshit. Give me the divine water of the world and I'll leave your lives intact." Xia Wang stared at Jian Chen coldly while his voice was extremely icy. It contained no emotions whatsoever. Xia Wang was the same as Nubis, both ninth heavenly layer saint rulers. With Nubis' prideful nature, how could he endure someone who was only as powerful as him act so arrogantly? He immediately became enraged and took a step forward. A powerful presence began to radiate from his body and tightly pressured Xia Wang. He replied coldly, "What dogs hit Xia Wang? You still don't have the right to be arrogant before me. Piss off or it won't be my fault for being impolite." Nubis had an extremely great control over his presence. The vast presence of a ninth heavenly layer saint ruler only locked onto Xia Wang. It did not pervade into the surroundings and affect the other people at the auction. Under the suppression of Nubis' pressure, a gleam of light flashed over Xia Wang's eyes. He glared at Nubis and finally revealed a sliver of seriousness. Although they had not physically fought it out, he could feel Nubis' strength. Nubis was definitely an expert, not any weaker than himself. "Who are you?" Xia Wang growled. At that very moment, he seemed to ignore Jian Chen and the patriarch of the Dare tribe completely. He only had his eyes on Nubis. "I am the great Nubis. Didn't you hear me speak before?" Nubis growled back. Vicious light shone in his eyes, the wildness and bloodlust from his bloodline as a magical beast had been involuntarily agitated. "Guests, do not fight within the auction center. If there is any enmity, go resolve it outside the city." An old voice rang out suddenly at this very moment. An extremely ordinary-looking old man strode over from afar. With a slight wave of his hand, an invisible energy immediately surged over and only suppressed Nubis' presence. A sliver of interest flashed across Jian Chen's eyes. This old man had suppressed Nubis' presence so simply. He was definitely a supreme saint king and one that was at least of the fifth heavenly layer. He was no weaker than Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi. The sea race really is a place that has great people hiding. I never thought that there would be such an expert hidden in this puny auction. The sea race really is powerful. Not only do they have more saint emperors than the Tian Yuan continent, they have many more saint emperors and saint rulers too, thought Jian Chen. His understandings of the sea race's strength was renewed once again. Nubis also sensed the old man's strength. A deep fear that rarely appeared covered his face and he immediately retracted his presence. He did not do anything overboard. Even though Xia Wang feared nothing, his complexion finally changed too when he saw the old man. His gaze toward the old man was mixed with both shock and fear. He clasped his hands toward the old man courteously and said, "I greet old Senior Jad." The old man looked at the three of them normally and a warm smile appeared on his face. "No matter who it is, since you've come to my Jas auction, you are a guest of my auction center. Guests, I don't care about the matters between the two of you nor do I want to care, but please do not break the rules of Jas City. If you want to resolve your problems, please go fight outside the city. Do not break the rules of the city." "Yes, old Senior Jad. Junior will never break the rules of Jas City on purpose." Xia Wang immediately became like an obedient child. He feared and admired the old man. The old man said to Xia Wang, "You destroyed a table of my auction center. Go pay the fees." "Yes." Xia Wang did not dare to resist at all. He stared at both Nubis and Jian Chen then growled, "I will be looking for you too in the future." With that, Xia Wang immediately left to go pay the compensation fees for the auction center. The old man paid no attention to Jian Chen's group. He directly walked away from three of them, disappearing around a corner very quickly. Jas City, Jas Auction, Old Senior Jad. Is there some connection between the three of them? Was that old man perhaps the expert who protects the Jas Auction? Jian Chen thought as he watched the old man disappear into the distance. In a sealed secret room in the auction center, old Senior Jad was currently in discussion with a few other old men. "Jad, the journey where we deliver the Octaterra map fragment will definitely be extremely dangerous. Many experts will come and fight for it. We hope you're able to assist us," said an old man. Old Senior Jad thought in silence for a while before nodding sternly. 3,000 years ago, a great elder of your Hao family saved my life. I've never been able to return that favor, and the great elder has already passed away from old age. I won't be able to see him ever again in this life, so I will be helping you since your Hao family needs help. It'll be returning the great elder's favor of saving my life. Fantastic. With old Senior Jad assisting us, our chance of returning with the map fragment successfully has increased by quite a bit. The old men from the Hao family were overjoyed and became excited. Chapter 869, Meeting Kaya again. Jian Chen and newbies left the jazz auction and directly traveled toward the exit of the city. Along the way, Jian Chen discovered many experts hidden in the surroundings of the streets. Some of them had come to participate in the auction this time, while others had come with different objectives and were waiting patiently. At this very moment, a tremendous presence appeared far away. There were over 10 people of various ages flying out of the auction center, directly traveling out of the city. That's the renowned Hao family from the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Even among the entire Sea realm, the Hao family's strength is highly ranked. They're people from the Hao family. I heard it was the Hao family who bought the Octaterra map fragment for a huge price. So many experts from the Hao family have come. They must be leaving with the map fragment. Isn't that the city lord, Jad? Why is he with the people of the Hao family? Not only is Jad the city lord, he's also the boss behind the scenes of the Jas auction and the previous patriarch of the number 1 clan in the city, the Jas clan. Since he is with the Hao family, is he perhaps assisting the Hao family in leaving with the map fragment? Jad's strength is already at the 16th star. I don't think there'll be many people who will want to try to get their hands on the map fragment with him accompanying them. That might not be the case. I've heard that many experts from all 3 territories have gathered here. There are plenty of other 16th star Sea Soul warriors among them. A series of discussions rang out from the streets. A few experts conversed with one another as they all watched the group fly over them. Jad was a renowned expert in this region. His appearance had caused many to dismiss their ill intentions. The group from the Hao family flew extremely quickly with Jad. They zoomed through the sky like a comet and disappeared into the distance in the blink of an eye. They left the city very quickly. As the Sea realm was enveloped by a powerful barrier, it was like a separate world. Saint Kings would not be able to rip open space here, so the group from the Hao family could only deliver the map fragment back to the clan by flying. Not too long after they left, figures flickered within the city. Many experts who hid in the surroundings all began to tail the group. Almost all of them were saint rulers, and there were even some saint kings. Jian Chen watched the figures travel off into the distance as he stood where he was. His eyes constantly flickered with a light. Warriors, we've already obtained what you needed now. Do you think? The patriarch of the Dare tribe said on one side with hesitance. He seemed slightly worried. He had pooled the entire tribe's wealth onto Jian Chen. He really was worried that the two of them would go back on their words. After glancing at him unconsciously, the corner of Jian Chen's lips curled into a sliver of slight disdain. Patriarch, let's leave the city first. Jian Chen, about the map fragment, newbies sent a mental message. No hurry. Let them fight a little first. Don't worry, all their actions are within my scope of expectations, Jian Chen replied with a mental message. His voice was filled with great confidence. He had already expanded his presence to the limits long ago, enveloping a radius of 5,000 kilometers. He could sense the actions of the people extremely clearly. I don't need to worry since you've said that then, newbies replied. The 3 of them left Jas City together and directly flew into the distance. Just when they traveled 100 kilometers from the city, a vast presence suddenly appeared. Behind the 3 of them, the blue-robed Xia Wang chased up to them with a frosty expression. He had fused with the surrounding space, hurrying over through the use of spatial force. He was as fast as lightning. It's Xia Wang. He's actually caught up. The patriarch's expression changed slightly. He glanced over to Jian Chen and Nubis. He saw that they remained unperturbed, so he could not help but relax slightly. Jian Chen and Nubis stopped in their tracks, then floated mid-air and remaining composed as they waited for Xia Wang to fly over. A few seconds later, Xia Wang stopped 50 meters away from the three of them. He glared at Nubis, while the flames of anger and killing intent burned in his eyes. Nubis stared at Xia Wang with his arms crossed and a face of arrogance. He sneered, "What, you want to fight with me, the great Nubis? Give the divine water of the world to me and I'll leave immediately." "I won't be letting this matter drop otherwise," Xia Wang said expressionlessly. The divine water was his only hope. He was even willing to die for it because he did not have much time left. Nubis' face was cold. "Before me, the great Nubis, you still don't have the right to speak like that. Unless you're a 15th star sea soul warrior, why don't you let me knock out all your teeth before you want to keep dwelling on this?" With that, Nubis appeared before Xia Wang with a flash. He directly hurled a whistling fist towards Xia Wang and the surrounding space trembled violently as his punch passed by. The space in the sea realm was much tougher than elsewhere. Nubis' punch could rip through space easily outside, but it could only cause the space to tremor here. Although Xia Wang was self-confident, he knew that Nubis was in no way weaker than himself. As a result, he did not dare to fall behind and immediately struck out with a fist that collided violently mid-air with Nubis' punch. Bang! A great force erupted with a muffled sound, wreaking havoc in all directions. The energy ripples from the collision of their fists reached the ground and great big cracks were immediately formed. After the strike, Nubis remained floating mid-air with his balance. He was immovable like a mountain. On the other hand, Xia Wang was forced back 10 meters uncontrollably before he regained stability. The outcome of who was stronger or weaker had already been determined. As a beast of antiquity, Nubis' capability for battle was already extremely powerful. Combined with his absorption of the hidden essence from a Class 8 magical beast, it only made him even greater. Currently, his strength was not any weaker than a Saint King. Even if he encountered a first heavenly layer Saint King, it was not necessarily impossible for him to come out victorious. He was matchless among 9th heavenly layer Saint rulers. Xia Wang shook his right arm, which had become slightly numb from the collision. He growled, "You may be very powerful, but you're still at the peak of the 14th star, the same as me. If we don't fight to the very end, it's still very hard to determine who'll live or die. I'll show you my true strength." An even greater presence emanated from Xia Wang as he rushed at Nubis boldly, embroiling in a great battle with him. In the direction of Jas City, another 3 people flew over, before stopping several kilometers away to watch on from afar. The 3 of them were the current patriarch of the Menghuang tribe and the 2 protector elders. They did not interfere with Jian Chen and Nubis' dispute with Xia Wang. When they saw how Nubis was locked in battle with Xia Wang, their expressions became extremely ugly. Never did they think that Nubis would be so powerful that he could battle evenly with the infamous Xia Wang and even slightly gain the upper hand. Jian Chen glanced at the 3 Menghuang tribe experts in the distance but did not pay them too much attention. The 3 of them were all saint rulers of the 3rd and 4th heavenly layer and were not people he needed to acknowledge. However, the patriarch of the Dare tribe was unable to remain as composed as Jian Chen. He stared at the 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe cautiously and said, "Esteemed warrior, be careful of a sudden ambush from the 3 of them. Don't worry, there is me to handle everything. They won't be able to cause any trouble." Jian Chen was confident. The 3 experts stared fixedly at the battle between the 2 while the lights in their eyes flickered. One of the protector elders sent a mental message, "Patriarch, Xia Wang's already become enemies with the experts recruited by the Dare tribe. If we take advantage of it right now and assist Xia Wang, we might be able to pull him to our side temporarily and get him to deal with the Dare tribe with us." "That's reasonable. Patriarch, why don't we help Xia Wang right now? Xia Wang wants the divine water while we want the spirit vein in the Dare tribe's possession. I'm sure that Xia Wang will be extremely willing to work with us," added the other protector elder. The patriarch of the Menghuang tribe hesitated slightly before shaking his head gently. Let's wait first. Right now, we're not sure of the other person's strength. We may not necessarily be his opponent even if we work together, and the patriarch of the Dare tribe is another 13th star expert. I don't see any benefits if we clash with them right now so hastily. Suddenly, another dozen or so people flew over from the direction of Jas City. They were in a horrible shape, their faces were pale while residue blood remained at the corner of their lips. They were heavily wounded. Behind them, two old men fought as one retreated. They were both saint rulers and powerful energy ripples would erupt whenever they clashed. Elder, leave quickly. Don't mind us. A blue-robed, slightly attractive woman yelled from the group. She pleaded with a miserable voice. When Jian Chen heard the woman's voice, his eyes froze immediately. He suddenly turned to the woman who had spoken and a sliver of shock appeared in his eyes. Kaya. I'll block him. Leave quickly. The old man with short, blue hair yelled out as he fought while retreating. He was much weaker than his opponent, with just a while of battle, he was already heavily injured. Ha ha ha, don't think any of you people from the Kaler tribe will escape today. 100 years ago, that old bastard from the Kaler tribe almost made me die. Let me take my revenge from all those years ago on the blood and flesh of that old bastard. The black-robed old man laughed aloud from behind. His face was cruel as he struck the chest of the elder from the Kaler tribe with a palm full of great energy. Spurt. The elder vomited a mouthful of blood and immediately became sheet white. His face was drained of blood and he was no longer able to maintain his flight, directly falling downward. Ha ha ha, I'll finish off that old one and then come and kill you little ones. The black-robed old man shot toward the falling elder with killing intent and mercilessly struck toward the elder's head with a palm that radiated with energy ripples. Swish! Suddenly, an ear-piercing whistling of air was emitted. A terrifying, meter-long sword chi that emanated with the presence of destruction directly shot toward the black-robed old man with lightning speed. Chapter 870, Repaying a Debt of Gratitude. When he sensed the strength of the sword chi flying over, the black-robed old man was immediately shocked. He instinctively knew very well that he would be heavily injured if he was struck by it. The old man no longer bothered to kill the elder from the Kaler tribe. His palm for the elder was forcefully withdrawn and struck toward the sword chi in a full-powered punch. The old men sent out a meter-wide fist completely condensed from energy, striking the sword chi with violent ripples of power. Boom! As the two collided, a great rumble erupted immediately. Violent energy ripples wreaked havoc in the surroundings and sent Kaya and the guards flying. However, the sword chi completely exceeded the old man's imagination. It had not been dispersed and instead shot through the violent energies directly. However, it was now much weaker due to the strike before. The old man was also a 14th star sea soul warrior, equivalent to a saint ruler of the 6th heavenly layer. When he saw how the sword chi continued toward him with no decrease in speed, he immediately became extremely stern. Afterward, he grunted and vast amounts of energy surged out, striking the sword chi with all his power once again. With a deafening boom, the old man finally dispersed the sword chi 30 meters away from him. The powerful aftersurges struck his body, causing him to tremble greatly. The old man was shocked. He glared in the direction that the sword chi came from. He wanted to see exactly who possessed such great strength. Even if the person was not at the peak of the 14th star, he was not far from it. All he saw was a young man with long black hair in white robes. He carried a sword that shone with dark light as he floated mid-air. The old man's eyes narrowed abruptly. He even experienced a false impression, as if the young man before him was not a person at all but rather a sword that radiated with soaring sword chi like a sacred sword that stood upright in the world. Warrior, who are you? What do you want with me? Why did you ambush me suddenly? The old man growled. His expression was very ugly, while he unconsciously glanced at the intense battle between Xie Wang and newbies. With just a single glance, he realized that the two of them were much more powerful than him, probably actual experts who were at the peak of the 14th star. Jian Chen glanced at the old man coldly before flying toward Kaya. Miss Kaya, are you fine? Kaya looked at Jian Chen with her sheet-white face. When she recognized him, shock immediately dyed her beautiful eyes. Warrior, it's actually you. Jian Chen's face carried a smile. Miss Kaya, looks like you've encountered some problems, but fortunately you came across me. Otherwise, you probably would have been in danger. At this moment, the 12 guards that followed Kaya recognized Jian Chen as well. They immediately became shocked and they connected Jian Chen with the fact that he had repelled the powerful old man all by himself. Never did they think that the beggar-like person who did not even have money for the entree fee of the city was actually such a terrifying expert. It caused the 12 guards to become extremely astounded. I thank the warrior for his assistance. Kaya will definitely return the favor of saving my life, Kaya said with gratitude. Her voice was slightly weak as she was quite heavily injured. The injuries were not from the black-robed old man but from the energy ripples when the two saint rulers clashed before. Miss Kaya is too modest. Half a month ago, I became indebted to Miss Kaya's kindness. Just treat it as returning the favor, Jian Chen said with a slight smile. Seeing how Jian Chen was actually with the people from the Kaler tribe and that their relationship seemed to be something else, the old man in the distance immediately became heavy-hearted. He knew that if the Kaler tribe had such an expert helping out, he definitely would not be able to take revenge for the years before. On the other hand, the injured elder from the Kaler tribe was overjoyed. He forcefully endured his injuries and struggled up to his feet, calling out loudly, "Warrior, please help us, the Kaler tribe, to kill this person. We, the Kaler tribe, will be eternally grateful." With that, the black-robed old man could no longer be bothered with his revenge. Thoughts of retreat had already appeared in his mind but he continued to ask, "May I inquire what Sir's relationship with the Kaler tribe is?" Jian Chen ignored him and said to Kaya, "Miss Kaya, since he's an enemy of yours, allow me to thank you for your kindness by offering up his head." With that, Jian Chen raised the dragon-slaying sword and charged at the old man. His eyes contained a powerful, unconcealed killing intent. The old man's expression changed greatly. Just as he was about to retreat, another 3 vast presences appeared suddenly. The 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe moved together and moved directly toward Jian Chen. "Warrior, it'll be difficult for you to escape today. Why not work with the 3 of us to exterminate this person?" called out the current patriarch of the Menghuang tribe. A gleam of light flashed across the old man's eyes. His intent to escape disappeared immediately and a vicious smile appeared on his face once again. "Sure. Since you don't intend on letting me go, I can only work with these 3 fellows to deal with you. You dare to ruin my matters, Hey Batian, will let you fall here today. Be careful, warrior." When she saw the 3 other people rush up to be Jian Chen's opponents, Kaya's expression immediately changed. She called out uncontrollably and she also began to worry for Jian Chen. Although they had not known each other for very long, Jian Chen was still a person who stood on her side. Whether her group and the elder could leave here alive would all depend on him. A sliver of disdain appeared on Jian Chen's face and he mocked, "Let's see exactly who falls here today. People of the Menghuang tribe, I originally wanted you to live a few more days but since you seek death, it won't be my fault." Such impudence! The 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe became enraged and they all pulled out their weapons. They became involved in a great fight with Jian Chen. Even a grain of rice dares to try and outshine the moon. The dragon-slaying sword in Jian Chen's hand turned into a blur and was thrust out with lightning speed. In the blink of an eye, Jian Chen had struck out thrice, knocking away the weapons from the 3 Menghuang tribe experts. The great force from the collision of their weapons caused the 3 experts to experience a series of numbness in their hands. The 3 of them were greatly shocked. They knew that Jian Chen would definitely be extremely powerful, but according to what their beliefs, they even possessed the power to fight with a 14th star Sea Soul warrior if they worked together. They had never thought that Jian Chen would be so powerful that in just a single clash, all three of them would lose the upper hand. The powerful energy from the dragon-slaying sword affected them in particular, making them experience an inability to resist from the very depths of their hearts. Swish swish swish. At this very moment, the sword flashed another 3 times abruptly. The dragon-slaying sword continued to pierce at the three people, directly punching through their chests. They did not have any time to react at all. The second layer of the chaotic body was equivalent to the 7th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. Combined with a ruler armament, Jian Chen's strength in battle was equivalent to the 9th heavenly layer. The three people were all below the 5th heavenly layer, so they had no power to resist Jian Chen with such a great disparity. The three people from the Menghuang tribe all produced muffled grunts, quickly retreating backward. They were astounded, no longer willing to continue their fight with Jian Chen. They fled toward the distance at the same time and disappeared far away quickly. Originally, I wanted to kill the three of you directly, but I changed my mind for now. Leave. I'll let you live for a few days longer. Jian Chen did not obstruct their departure. He had allowed the people from the Menghuang tribe to understand his strength, so he believed that they would not attack the Dare tribe very soon. It just happened to earn him some precious time to steal the Octaterra map fragment. When he saw how Jian Chen demolished the three experts from the Menghuang tribe as soon as they clashed, the black-robed old man immediately became scared witless. He hurriedly came to a screeching halt mid-air, no longer possessing the courage to battle. He immediately turned around and flew off into the distance to escape. You should stay behind. I've let them go, but not you, Jian Chen said ordinarily. His voice was heard clearly by the black-robed old man, which caused him to shiver inside. He fled at an even greater speed. Jian Chen did not give the old man the chance to use spatial force in order to escape. Using the illusionary flash, he appeared before the old man like a ghost. With a shake of his arm, the dragon-slaying sword in his hand turned into a flurry of blurs that enveloped the old man. The blurs stacked on top of one another, blotting out the sky and locking the old man in place. Arg! A chilling cry emerged from the flurry of blurs. As the blur receded, the old man had undergone an absolute change of appearance in just a few seconds. He was covered in blood, while countless wounds were strewn all over his body. He was extremely miserable. Warrior, spare me, warrior. I will never provoke people of the Kaler tribe again. Please spare my old life. The old man had truly comprehended Jian Chen's terror. He did not believe he could escape today, so he immediately began to beg. Jian Chen's eyes were cold, unaffected by the old man's actions. All the killings from the years had gradually forged him a merciless heart toward enemies, because only like that could one survive in this world. Kindness toward enemies would be equivalent to taking one's own life. The killing intent in Jian Chen's eyes flashed. As the dragon-slaying sword swung down, it directly beheaded the old man. The old man did not die. Under the control of his origin soul, the entire head began to flee into the distance, wanting to escape. However, he was still not faster than Jian Chen in the end. With just a flash, Jian Chen traversed hundreds of meters in an instant and directly blocked the path of the severed head. A gentle palm landed on the head, jolting the origin soul hidden inside into pieces. He directly wiped out the old man's soul. Chapter 871, Battle for the Map Fragment. 1. Jian Chen removed the ring on the black-robed old man's finger, before bringing his head to Kaya. He said with a slight smile, Miss Kaya, I've already beheaded this guy for you. Just treat it as returning your kindness of the 100 crystal coins. Kaya and the 12 guards stared at Jian Chen in stupefaction, while great waves of emotions churned within their hearts. They felt extremely uncalm. A powerful, 14th star Sea Soul warrior had just been slaughtered like that by Jian Chen and was even beheaded. They found this unbelievable and did not even return to their senses after a long time. They really refused to accept what had happened before them. Is that expert really that person who didn't even have money for the fees to enter the city? At this moment, similar thoughts simultaneously appeared in Kaya and the 12 guards' minds. None of them dared to connect Jian Chen, who had easily killed a 14th star Sea Soul warrior, to that person from before. Staring at the beheaded corpse, the elder from the Kaler tribe was also extremely shocked. The black-robed old man was a 14th star Sea Soul warrior. Although he did not reach the peak, he was still extremely strong. Meanwhile, Jian Chen had actually killed the old man so easily. This strength caused the elder to be extremely astounded. Peak of the 14th star, that person who just struck out has definitely reached the peak of the 14th star. He might even be a 15th star expert, the elder thought. His heart was soon replaced with ecstasy. If the Kaler tribe could pull such a powerful expert to their side, it would be a humongous matter. The elder wiped away the blood from the corner of his lips and dragged his heavily injured body to Jian Chen. He said gratefully, "I thank this warrior for helping us out. My Kaler tribe will never forget the great kindness you have shown. May I ask if you are able to come to my tribe as a guest so that my Kaler tribe can thank the warrior properly? It's only a small matter, not worth mentioning. Also, Miss Kaya has helped us once before, so it's expected of me to help her this time. Elder, I still have matters to attend to, so I won't be able to visit your tribe." Jian Chen declined after some meandering. He was extremely polite. The elder was awkward. He clearly wanted to invite Jian Chen to their tribe very much as a guest. However, as Jian Chen was so powerful, he did not dare to pester him until he was angry. At that time, he would be in for a loss. "Silly girl, what are you staring blankly for? Why don't you quickly invite this warrior to our tribe as a guest?" The elder immediately sent a mental message to Kaya after a thought popped into his head. Kaya remained hesitant. Her relationship with Jian Chen was extremely ordinary. Additionally, she could clearly feel with her innate spirit opening technique that Jian Chen only treated her as an extremely ordinary passerby, with no other intentions at all. The reason why he had helped her this time was completely due to the fact that he wanted to return the favor of the 100 crystal coins. "Farewell, Miss Kaya." Jian Chen clasped his hands at Kaya before turning around and leaving. Seeing how Kaya did not follow through with his suggestion, the elder immediately became frantic on the side. He urged once again, "Silly girl, don't just stand around. Why don't you quickly stop the warrior?" The elder's voice was filled with urgency. There was such a great opportunity right in front of him right now to rope in an expert. He did not want to just miss out on it. Kaya shook her head gently and did nothing else. She knew that even if she spoke out to urge him to stay, it would do nothing at all. The elder of the Kaler tribe sighed resentfully as she had failed to do what he had insisted. His face was filled with regret and anger. As Nubis and Xia Wang fought, they moved away. They were now already several dozen kilometers away. Gazing at the two still embroiled in an intense fight, Jian Chen said, "Nubis, don't waste too much time here." "Ha ha ha, understood. Kiddo Xia Wang, your great-grandfather Nubis, won't be playing along anymore." Nubis laughed from afar. He immediately used his full strength, heavily striking Xia Wang's body a few times, which caused him to fly backward as he vomited blood. "Kiddo Xia Wang, come find me after you break through to the 15th star. You're not my opponent otherwise." Nubis' extremely arrogant voice shook up the surroundings, broadcasted far and wide. He no longer paid any attention to the heavily injured Xia Wang, turning around and flying toward Jian Chen. "I haven't wasted too much time, have I?" Nubis smiled slightly in front of Jian Chen. He did not feel pressured at all in his fight with Xia Wang. He had not used his full strength at all. As a silver-striped golden snake, Nubis' battle capability was not his most powerful aspect, but his venom was renowned throughout the Tianyuan continent. "They've already left my range. We can't delay this any longer," said Jian Chen, before they arrived before the patriarch of the Dare tribe together. They said, "Patriarch, let's go." "Ah. What?" "Oh, yes, yes, yes." Stunned, the patriarch suddenly returned to his senses, unconsciously nodding his head. His face was already filled with extreme levels of shock and disbelief. He had truly and properly understood Nubi's and Jian Chen's abilities from this fight. Nubi's had fought the infamous Xia Wang all by himself and heavily injured him so easily while remaining uninjured himself. Meanwhile, Jian Chen battled 4 saint rulers on his own and wiped out the soul of a 14th star Sea Soul warrior in just a few bouts, while the other 3 13th star Sea Soul warriors fled with heavy injuries. The Dare tribe patriarch's blood boiled when he saw all this. How just was the mere Menghuang tribe worthy of any fear with such experts supporting his tribe? The 3 of them left the area, while Kaiya's group remained where they were, staring into the direction that Jian Chen had disappeared off to. Just who are the 2 of them? And who's the other one? Even the infamous Xia Wang was no match for him. Is he perhaps a 15th star Sea Soul warrior? Mumbled the elder of the Kaler tribe. The regret in his heart increased even more. If he could rope in those 2 experts, the strength of his tribe would increase vastly. Jian Chen's group stopped after traveling several hundred kilometers. Afterward, he turned to the patriarch and said, "Patriarch, the 2 of us have something important to attend to, so we must leave temporarily. When we deal with it, we will come back to assist you with the Menghuang tribe. Is that fine?" The patriarch pondered in silence in response before replying, "The 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe have already sustained heavy injuries, so they probably won't have the power to fight my tribe for the time being. All right, warriors, then you should go deal with your matter. I will wait for your return." The patriarch seemed like a brute, but he was not stupid at all. Instead, he had a nimble mind. He could tell with a single glance that the 2 of them wanted to try their luck with the Octaterra map fragment. Bidding farewell to the patriarch, Jian Chen and Nubi's did not show any hesitation at all, immediately shooting off into the distance as a blur with lightning speed. They disappeared in the blink of an eye. At this very moment, several thousand kilometers away, the Hao family directly traveled toward the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall with the Octaterra map fragment and the accompaniment of Jad, a 16th star Sea Soul warrior. As Saint Kings could not rip open space in the territory of the sea race, they could only travel by flight. At this very moment, a weird call appeared in the surroundings. "Kakakakak, you better leave this last map fragment behind. I, Yun Feng, will be taking it." With this voice, a burly, middle-aged man appeared out of nowhere, right in front of the group's path and blocking them. Simultaneously, the surrounding space froze, becoming something akin to a frozen block of ice in that very instant. It trapped many experts from the Hao family, immobilizing them. Demon Lord Yun Feng. The expressions of many experts of the Hao family changed. Their gazes toward Yun Feng were filled with deep fear and dread. The city lord of Jia City, Jad, stood forward from the group, staring at Yun Feng with a sneer. "Yun Feng, you normally only move about in the territory of the Sea God Hall. Why do you come to our territory? Moreover, there's a powerful formation enveloping the exterior of the Octaterra Divine Hall. Once you reach the 15th, you can't enter it. You are a person who walks a solitary path, so what use is for the map fragment? It's not like you can go in any way." As Jad spoke, his body jolted slightly in the frozen space where Yun Feng had appeared, shattered immediately, returning to how it was before. Yun Feng laughed aloud. "You're right. I am indeed unable to enter the Octaterra Divine Hall, but someone has put forward a condition that I can't reject. It'll be difficult for me to not interfere even when that's what I want. I never thought that the proud, lonesome demon lord would help others do things. But with just your strength at the peak of the 15th star, you probably aren't my opponent," Jad said. "Senior Jad, there's not just me involved in this matter. I believe that there are still many others who covet the map fragment on you other than me," laughed Yun Feng loudly. Afterward, he looked around and said, "Everyone, stop hiding. Come out. As soon as Yunfeng finished his words, over 100 figures suddenly appeared out of nowhere from the empty surroundings. Every single one of them had reached Saint Ruler, and there were even Saint Kings. The people from the Hao family had known clearly about being followed since long ago. They did not find it surprising when the people appeared, while Jad, who stood at the very front, looked around. Everyone, the Octatera map fragment was won by the Hao family in the auction by paying a heavy price. If you want to steal it, it won't be my fault for being merciless. Jad, you're the Jazz City Lord of the Serpent God Hall. Why are you helping the people from the Hao family of the Heaven's Spirit Hall? Asked an old Saint King. It's not up to you to care about why I am doing this. In short, I will be using all my strength to assist the Hao family in protecting the map fragment. If there is someone who dares to come and take it, don't blame me for being vicious, Jad said with a gruff voice. His eyes turned into a glare, while a powerful killing intent radiated from him. It caused the surrounding temperature to plummet abruptly, as if the surroundings had turned into an ice cavern in permafrost. Chapter 872, Battle for the Map Fragment, 2. Although Jad was the most powerful person present, there were many Saint Kings similar to him in the surroundings, so he was unable to deter the people who wanted to take the map fragment at all. Jad, did you really think that just you and the people from the Hao family would be enough to stop the attacks from all of us? Said the Demon Lord Yunfeng. Everyone, you all probably belong to different organizations. There's only one fragment, so who would the fragment end up with between so many of you? How will you split it? Asked an old man from the Hao family. He bore a smile and spoke with a normal tone. He was one of the ancestors of the Hao family. He was also a Saint King, but at the 15th star. His simple question caused many of the people present to frown. This clearly was a question that was extremely difficult to deal with. None of them wished to work so hard and risk their lives to only have the fragment end up with someone else. Seeing how everyone began to falter, a Saint King immediately called out, "He's trying to get us to turn on each other. It's self-evident. Everyone, do not fall for his tricks. We can discuss how to split it after we obtain the map fragment. Maybe we can directly turn the map fragment into multiple pieces and give everyone a piece. Alright. That's not a bad idea. Let's do that." Immediately, many people agreed to this solution, voicing their agreements. Yunfeng licked his lips and chuckled. Since it's all been dealt with, we have no need to waste any more time. Everyone, let's strike together and obtain the map fragment. The Demon Lord was the most powerful after Jad here. When he finished speaking, he charged at Jad first and called out, "Fellows of the 15th star, come with me to deal with Jad, that old croon. We'll leave the people of the Hao family to others." Immediately, several Saint Kings shot out from the group, embroiling in a great fight with Jad as they worked together with Yunfeng. As soon as they clashed, violent energy ripples erupted and surged through the entire region. It caused mountains to collapse, the ground to crack, and the entire world to tremble violently. The Hao family also had a Saint King. Leading over 20 experts from the clan, he began to fight with 100-odd people, but he was kept busy by the last Saint King who entered the battle from the assailants. It caused the people from the Hao family to become surrounded while forced up against the attacks of over 100 experts of a similar level. Under such a difference in strength, they fell into a disadvantageous position as soon as they clashed, surrounded and attacked by people that outnumbered them several times. However, the people who had come for the map fragment belonged to different organizations. They did not trust each other, so they had to guard against anyone besides them as they attacked the Hao family group in order to prevent anyone from suddenly ambushing them. It resulted in a great reduction of their strength and they were unable to fully display their might. So although the Hao family was tightly suppressed, no one dared to use an attack too powerful that would make them vulnerable. On the other side, the battle between Jad and the Saint Kings had already reached a white-hot intensity. Jad did not fear much, using all his strength without holding back at all. He engaged intensely with the 5 other opponents. The battle was earth-shaking, fighting up in the sky before sinking back to the ground again, all while moving backward. They had already moved 100 kilometers away. Wherever the battle passed by, violent energy ripples would wreak havoc. The surrounding region had basically become a zone of death, where even saint rulers would not dare to venture too deeply into. Although the 5 Saint Kings fighting Jad were only in the 3rd or 4th heavenly layer, they all had their motives, so none of them were willing to use their full strength. They did not want to expend too much energy or suffer any injuries, which would cause them to miss the perfect opportunity to take the map fragment. As a result, even with the 5 of them working together, they could only reach a stalemate against Jad, who was at the 6th heavenly layer, and they were even vaguely on the losing side. Arg! Arg! With a few cries of pain, a few weaker saint rulers of the Hao family vomited blood and fell with heavy injuries. They retreated into the center of the group, which immediately increased the pressure on the other experts of the family. Their resistance became more and more difficult. If it were not for the insecurity of the attackers, the group from the Hao family would have been forced to give in long ago. Currently, Jian Chen and Nubis concealed their presences 1,000 kilometers away. They hid behind the back of a mountain. They were unable to see the battle due to being too far away, but they could clearly sense the violent energy ripples. This place is too far away. You can't see anything at all. I wonder what the situation is like. Jian Chen, let's approach them a little more, suggested Nubis. Jian Chen raised his hand in objection. No need. We can't get too close. We need to be careful. I've always been monitoring the situation up ahead, and I've even vaguely sensed that there are other experts who have still yet to reveal themselves. We can't get too close. I sense so many presences of Saint Kings, and one of them isn't any weaker than the Bai Fei and Ling Yuanzi who pursued us. Jian Chen, do you think we'll be able to take the map fragment with our strength? Nubis seemed rather worried. So many presences of Saint Kings had appeared up ahead, which made him feel completely unconfident. We need to steal the fragment through strategy and not force. We can only see now whether we get that opportunity or not. Though, we do have one advantage that others don't have, said Jian Chen. What advantage? Nubis asked curiously. Jian Chen smiled mysteriously. You'll learn about it later. Oh right, spit out your water spirit's pearl. Our identities as foreigners will be revealed in a while when we go steal the map. As soon as we obtain it, we can use the pearls to mask our presences after finding a safe hiding spot. That way, it'll obscure what the other people will be searching for. They'll pour all their efforts into a search for foreigners while they ignore other members of the sea race. That's one extra safeguard for us. Nubis' eyes lit up with interest. Without any hesitation, he immediately spat out his pearl that concealed his magical beast presence, before placing it into his space ring. Jian Chen also spat out his pearl and placed it into the saint artifact. To him, space rings were not exactly safe, as there was the chance for them to be stolen at any moment. Only inside the saint artifact would there be no room for accidents, unless the saint artifact rebelled or he died. Let's just wait here. I'll tell you when it's time to move, said Jian Chen. The great battle only lasted for roughly half an hour. More people from the Hao family became heavily injured, and their numbers were whittled down to around a dozen. 3 people had even died, fleeing the scene in the form of origin souls. The few remaining people resisted bitterly, but they were also all covered in blood. They could not last for much longer. Seeing how the situation was turning against them, the Saint King of the Hao family became extremely stern. He had anticipated that he would encounter ambushes along the way long ago, but had originally thought that nothing would go wrong with Senior Jad's help. Never did he think that so many people would come, with a total of 6 Saint Kings. We can't drag this out any longer, the Saint King thought. With a flash of determination, he knocked his opponent away with a blow. A grand aura immediately began to radiate from his body, and he bellowed, 3 palms of heaven's annihilation. A huge palm suddenly condensed 100 meters up in the sky, radiating with a devastating aura. Its appearance seemed to cause a great disturbance in the surrounding laws of the world and caused it to fall into disorder. All the Saint Ruler and even Saint Kings lost control of their abilities to manipulate spatial force. The palm corporealized world force and contained an extremely great power. The space within a radius of several dozen kilometers froze with its appearance, and even the Saint King who was knocked away was affected greatly. He seemed to have fallen into quicksand and all his movements dulled. A Tian-level Saint technique. His expression changed greatly and the blood drained from his face immediately. A Tian-level Saint technique was equivalent to a Saint-tier battle skill on the Tian-Yuan continent, possessing devastating power. Even he, a third heavenly layer Saint King, had not been able to grasp such a powerful technique yet. Even though mere Saint Rulers could begin to comprehend Tian-level Saint techniques, to grasp one definitely not that simple. Many Saint Kings could not even use a single one. On the other hand, only those with outstanding talent in the comprehension of the mysteries of space could create Tian-level Saint techniques. They would need to comprehend through their luck, which was extremely rare even over the span of tens of thousands of years. Only a mere few were able to create their own Saint-tier battle skills from Mercenary City over the countless years it had existed. The giant palm print sealed up the surrounding space before descending with a vast aura. It silently fused with the earth and disappeared completely. All of the people, including the hundreds of Saint Rulers and the Saint King, disappeared with the palm. They had vanished. Only a few Saint Rulers from the Hao family hung in the sky, staring at the area beneath their feet tongue-tied. Below them, a bottomless pit had appeared. It was shaped like a palm and encased a radius of several kilometers. A Saint King and over 100 Saint Rulers had all been pressed into the earth by it. Arg! A cry of rage echoed from the bottomless pit. The Saint King had not died after receiving the attack. Following him, the presence of over 100 Saint Rulers appeared as well. The Tian-level Saint technique had been received by a Saint King and over 100 Saint Rulers at the same time. It did not manage to kill a single person with their resistance. The three palms of heaven's annihilation had 3 strikes in total. The further the strikes progressed, the more powerful they became. The Saint King of the Hao family raised his palm mercilessly and another giant palm instantly condensed in the sky. It slammed down onto the ground like a bolt of lightning and caused the entire region to shake violently. The third palm strike followed closely after the second. Wherever it passed by, space would be ripped open to reveal the void, creating a blanket of darkness. Chapter 873, Battle for the Map Fragment, 3. The remaining 2 palm strikes from the Hao family Saint King fell almost at the same time, at the same place. After them, any auras from the bottomless pit had disappeared completely. No one knew if any of the 100 Saint Rulers or that Saint King were still alive anymore. A Saint Ruler of the 7th heavenly layer could heavily wound or directly kill a Saint King of the 1st or 2nd heavenly layer when they used a Saint-tier battle skill. The caster this time was a Saint King, not a Saint Ruler, so the power of the technique was naturally much greater. Even if they were not dead, they definitely would have sustained unimaginable injuries. Jad and the 5 Saint Kings that had traveled over 100 kilometers as they fought noticed this situation. Each and every one of them was shocked, revealing expressions of astoundment. All of them, even the strongest, Jad, had not grasped a Tian-level Saint technique. The Saint King of the Hao family was far below them, yet he already knew a powerful Tian-level Saint technique. It brought disbelief to them. Tian-level Saint techniques were not easy to comprehend. They had all attempted the comprehension at their respective factions, but they had all failed with no exception. The profoundness and complexity of Tian-level Saint techniques made it hard for even Saint Kings to comprehend. Ha 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 ha, I'd like to see if you still have the power to take the map fragment. Jad laughed aloud. The Saint King's grasp of the Tian-level Saint technique greatly strengthened his side, which made him beam with joy. Their ability to protect the Octaterra map fragment had just greatly increased. The Saint King of the Hao family sneered as he looked at the bottomless pit created from his 3 palm strikes. A heavy price will definitely be paid when you try to take the things of my Hao family. He then turned towards Jad and said, "Senior Jad, allow me to lend a hand of support." "No need. I'll keep them busy, you leave quickly with the map fragment," Jad replied loudly. The Saint King of the Hal family hesitated slightly, before he clasped his hands at Jad. "I shall be taking my leave first then, Senior Jad. I shall be repaying Senior's kindness some other day." With that, he no longer deliberated and flew off into the distance with the remaining experts of the Hal family. Something suddenly happened. A blood-red light flashed past, silently sweeping past the Saint King. The light had appeared with no warning. It caught the Saint King off guard and directly sliced off one of his fingers. The pain caused the Saint King to groan in pain. However, as soon as he saw the lost finger, his expression changed abruptly. The finger was the one he wore his space ring on. The Saint King of the Hal family burst into rage. Like an angered lion, he immediately roared out furiously and followed the falling finger. He wanted to retrieve the space ring. The blood-red light appeared once again, quickly snatching up the space ring before he could get it back. It then flew off. "Where do you think you're going? Stay." The Saint King's eyes became bloodshot and he chased after the red light in a mad manner. "The map fragment has been taken by someone," cried out Demon Lord Yunfeng, who was battling Jad. He could no longer care and directly abandoned the battle and chased after the red light. The other Saint Kings also stopped their fight, casting their fastest movement techniques to chase after it. The red light only stopped after quickly traversing 100 kilometers. A hunchbacked old woman appeared there soon after and caught the finger with one hand. She immediately removed the space ring from it, before tossing the finger far away. Smiling evilly, she croaked, "The map fragment is mine. Don't even think about laying your hands on it." Before she had even finished her sentence, she moved slightly, shooting off into the distance as a blur. "Stay!" Jad roared and directly hurled a punch toward her. A huge fist rushed at the old woman with surging ripples of energy. The old woman was also of the 16th star, but she was only a 5th heavenly layer Saint King. She was a fraction weaker than Jad. She quickly turned around, pushing out violently with her shriveled hands which collided with the fist of energy. With a violent rumble, wild ripples of energy dissipated through the surroundings. Not only did Jad's punch fail to slow her down, she used the knockback to speed up her escape. A white, soft hand appeared out of nowhere at this very moment, right in front of the old woman. It landed quickly but gently on the old woman's chest. She had just blocked Jad's strike, so she took the palm strike forcefully after being caught off guard. Spurt! A mouthful of blood surged from the old woman's mouth and she immediately paled. The strike was extremely powerful, already wounding her heavily after she had failed to block it. "The map fragment is now mine." A crisp and spirited voice echoed in the old woman's ears. A devastatingly charming and graceful woman in an azure dress appeared before her. The space ring that was originally in the old woman's hands had already fallen into hers. She was also a Saint King, with strength equal to the old woman. She too was a Saint King of the 5th heavenly layer, but her aura was different from the sea races. "You're a human expert," the old woman groaned as she eyed the lady. "I am Qing Yishuan. I thank you for gifting me this map fragment." The lady gave out a crisp giggle. Her smile was extremely pretty, like the blooming of 100 flowers. Afterward, she turned into an azure flash of light and disappeared. She had already left and fled into the distance. The old woman coughed up another mouthful of blood and stared viciously at the lady's fleeing figure. However, she did not give chase. "Never did I think that even Qing Yishuan of the 8 great human experts would join in as well and even ambush and heavily injure me. What a bitch!" the old woman said with an extremely resentful voice. There were very few people who did not know the name Qing Yishuan in the sea realm. Magical beasts and humans were also present in the sea realm outside of the native sea race. However, there were extremely few of them. All of them had entered the realm as saint rulers with no exception, before cultivating their way to Saint King here. This was why foreign saint kings were able to exist in the sea realm. There were 8 most well-known saint kings among these humans, all of which who had reached the 16th star as sea soul warriors and at least the 5th heavenly layer. Qing Yishuan happened to be one of them. Behind, Jad and the other 5 saint kings all shot past the old woman as blurs, tailing Qing Yishuan. "Everyone, please calm down," boomed an old voice from the surroundings. 2 white-robed, ruddy old men suddenly appeared, blocking their paths. The 2 of them were also part of the 8 human experts. "Death to those who block my way," Jad roared. He became embroiled in a battle with one of the humans while the other person faced up against the other 5 saint kings all by himself. Even though they were on the losing side, they only aimed to delay the 6 saint kings, not to fight them in a battle to the death. Only after fleeing several kilometers did Qing Yishuan finally stop with the space ring. She turned back and gave out a long sigh. She muttered to herself, "Fortunately I invited 2 helpers or it'll be impossible to shake them off. I may have paid quite the price but everything will be worth it as long as I've obtained the map fragment." Qing Yishuan's eyes suddenly froze as she spoke. She turned to her side suddenly, only to see 2 young men who seemed to be in their 20s fly over. One of them wore tight, blue robes and had a handsome appearance, radiating with a refined aura. The other wore golden robes and had a head full of golden hair. His expression bore an unconcealed pride. It was Jian Chen and Nubis. "A human and a magical beast," muttered Qing Yishuan. She could tell what the 2 of them were with a single glance. Jian Chen and Nubis directly traveled for Qing Yishuan, before coming to a stop 100 meters away from her. Jian Chen gazed at her calmly and spoke with his hands clasped, "Junior is Yang Yutian. Senior must have taken part in the fight for the Octaterra map fragment." Qing Yishuan's face immediately twitched when she heard them mention the map fragment. Her beautiful eyes turned cold and glared at the 2 of them. "Are you trying to take the map fragment away from me? Brat, I'll ignore your disrespectful attitude from before since we're of the same race. If you're smart, leave immediately. Otherwise, don't be able to blame me for what I do next." Jian Chen smiled as normal. "Senior is mistaken. Junior has purposefully come forward to ask Senior if the space ring really does contain the map fragment or not." Qing Yishuan seemed to realize something with that. Her eyes flashed with urgency and she quickly checked the space ring. Her expression immediately changed greatly, angrily tossing the space ring into the distance. She cried out, "It's actually empty. Senior has already obtained the space ring for some time. It may be empty but the people behind definitely won't believe Senior. They'll definitely think Senior has hidden the map fragment. Not only has Senior failed to obtain it, Senior has to bear the burden of being hunted down by all those sea race experts. Senior's current circumstances really seems miserable," smiled Jian Chen. Chapter 874, Battle for the Map Fragment, 4. Qing Yishuan paled in anger, furiously stamping her feet. She said, "Those bastards of the Hao family. They actually tricked us all. Brat, tell me how you knew that the space ring was empty." A vast aura radiated from Qing Yishuan's body and tightly pressed down on Jian Chen and Nubis. "Senior, the map fragment is still with the Saint King of the Hao family. He's currently heading north with it. If Senior doesn't chase after him now, Senior might not be able to catch up," said Jian Chen. "Why do you know this so well? And why should I believe what you've said?" Qing Yishuan cried out. She stared fixedly at Jian Chen. "Junior has said everything to be said. Whether Senior believes it or not is not my problem," Jian Chen replied calmly. The light in Qing Yishuan's eyes flickered uneasily. After some deliberation, she chose to believe Jian Chen's words in the end. She shot off north as a vague blur. The Octaterra map fragment was just too important. Qing Yishuan was willing to delude herself than believing that the Saint King of the Hao family did not have it. Brat, I'll trust you this once. If I find that you're tricking me, I won't let you off even if we're of the same race. I'll chase you to the ends of the world. Qing Yishuan's words hung in the air. She had disappeared long ago. Odd. Jian Chen, how did you know that the space ring did not contain the map fragment? And how did you know where that Saint King was? Do you have eyes several kilometers away? Nubis could not resist his curiosity after Qing Yishuan had left. Jian Chen smiled mysteriously. Right now is not the time to be discussing these things. That Qing Yishuan is just too strong. I hope the Saint King of the Hao family won't just fall to a single strike of hers. Though, he does possess a saint-tier battle skill. If Qing Yishuan wants to take things from him, it shouldn't be easy. Let's go, newbies. The time for us to obtain the map fragment may be coming soon. Jian Chen and newbies erased their presences, carefully advancing forward. The Lord of Jia City and the 5 other Saint Kings were all kept busy by the 2 old men, battling where they were before. However, the Saint King who had lost his finger was not present and had already disappeared. The ripples from the battle radiated to over thousands of kilometers away and drew in all the experts in that range. There were already a few saint rulers spectating from several dozen kilometers away in the air. The Saint King who had lost a finger had already separated from the saint rulers of the Hao family by several thousand kilometers north. He currently traveled at full speed by himself, heading for the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. The secret of my space ring will be discovered very quickly. I need to head to the Heaven's Spirit Hall as soon as possible. I'll be able to call on the elders of the hall to assist me in fending off people once I get there. I'll be out of harm's way even if 116th star Sea Soul warriors appear, he muttered. He had not placed the map fragment in his space ring and had instead carried it on him. At this moment, a grand aura quickly appeared from far away and headed directly for him. The Saint King's expression changed greatly as he cried out, "Oh no, it's a 16th star expert. Did they discover that the space ring was empty so quickly?" The Saint King became filled with worry. He no longer held back anymore as a strand of faint red mist enshrouded his body. It immediately allowed his speed to skyrocket. He had cast a secret technique that cost him some of his vitality to flee. "You old bastard, you can't escape anymore." A crisp voice echoed in the Saint King's ears. Qing Yishuan had also cast a secret technique, shooting over like a lightning bolt with speed that completely exceeded the Saint King's. He said nothing, fleeing as if his life depended on it with gritted teeth. However, no matter how he increased his speed, he was unable to widen his distance from Qing Yishuan. The 2 of them gradually grew closer and closer and the distance shrunk to just 100 kilometers from the initial several hundred, which then decreased to several dozen. Fuck it. The Saint King of the Hao family immediately stopped running, seeing how it was useless. He hung in mid-air with a pale face and a grand aura immediately radiated from his body. He was like an ancient beast that was slowly awakening from its slumber. Tian level saint technique, 3 palms of heaven's annihilation. He cried out. He cast the saint tier battle skill once again, causing the surrounding world force to churn. It condensed into a huge, solid palm despite world force being invisible and pressed down onto the surroundings with stupendous pressure. It locked up the region in the radius of several dozen kilometers and abruptly froze the space there. As Qing Yishuan reached a distance of 5 kilometers away from him, the space around her suddenly froze and immobilized her. The powerful aura of the Tian level saint technique locked onto her. She reacted violently, even with her strength of the 5th heavenly layer. Vast quantities of saint force surged from her body, immediately shattering the frozen space. However, the quicksand-like space around her still slowed her movements greatly. A metallic azure sword appeared in her hand. With a cry, she turned into an azure stream of light that shot for the Saint King. She attempted to disrupt his battle skill. The Saint King of the Hao family did not need much time to charge up with his strength, so he reached completion very quickly. He flipped over his hand and slammed it down forcefully. Immediately, the enormous palm in the sky rumbled. It came crashing down with a devastating pressure. Qing Yishuan's dress and hair danced in the wind. She gave up her attack on the Saint King and pointed her sword at the sky. She turned into a blur and shot up, planning to use her own strength to forcefully resist the battle skill. The battle skill had locked onto her completely anyway, so she did not have the option of fleeing. All she could do was take it head-on. Boom! Qing Yishuan's elegant body collided with the palm that was several kilometers wide. Their sizes did not match up at all, but it produced a deafening boom. Violent ripples of energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, ripping open space and destroying whole regions, turning it all into a blanket of darkness. The giant palm fell from the sky without any decrease in force with an unstoppable manner. It left a bottomless palm print in the ground, which caused it to tremble. Qing Yishuan had been pushed into the earth with it. However, she flew out from it very quickly. Powerful, slightly azure saint force permeated her surroundings and caused the space around her to tremble because of the energy. Forcefully taking a saint-tier battle skill head-on, she was unable to remain uninjured despite her strength. Her hair was in a horrible mess, while her face was slightly pale. Her clothes were quite ruffled up as well, clearly in quite a bad shape. Rumble! A great boom resounded in the sky and a second palm fell. Its power was even greater than the first. Qing Yishuan poured all her strength into resistance, but she was still no match. She was pressed into the ground once again, this time emerging with a trail of blood at the corner of her lips. Blood had drained from her face, she was clearly quite injured now. The third palm strike followed soon after. This was the most powerful one, enough to collapse the space it passed by. Spurt! Forcefully enduring the last strike, Qing Yishuan vomited a mouthful of blood. She became pale, while she seemed completely disheveled. She was in a horrible shape, now heavily injured. Even the Saint King of the Hao family found it rather hard to endure after casting 2 Tian-level Saint techniques consecutively in a short time. He paled slightly and seemed extremely weak. After he struck down with the 3 palms, the Saint King immediately began to flee. He paid no regards to the outcome. A soaring sword chi shot toward him from behind. Qing Yishuan had risen from the ground, pouring all her energy into killing the Saint King of the Hao family. She may have been heavily injured, but she was still a 5th heavenly layer Saint King after all. She had an extremely tenacious life and still possessed a strong ability for battle. "Leave behind the Octaterra map fragment and I'll spare your life," she cried out, before quickly being embroiled in a battle with the Saint King of the Hao family. However, neither of them had detected that 2 insignificant saint rulers who were already 500 kilometers from them as they fought. The 2 saint rulers had completely erased their presence while hiding away carefully. They were Jian Chen and Nubis. A golden light shot out from the center of Jian Chen's eyebrows, before it turned into a miniature golden tower in his hand. Jian Chen turned to Nubis and said, "We need to hide in the saint artifact. Don't resist." A pillar of white light flashed out and disappeared with Jian Chen and Nubis. They had been sucked away by the power of the saint artifact. Taking the 2 of them away, the saint artifact then sunk into the ground, tunneling toward the battle. Qing Yishuan and the Saint King of the Hao family fought even-handedly in the sky. In Qing Yishuan's peak condition, she would have been able to deal with him easily, but she was currently heavily injured. She still possessed a very strong battle capability, but it was far from when she was in her best state. The 2 of them fought for 20 minutes. The Saint King ended up being stabbed in the chest by Qing Yishuan and immediately vomited up a mouthful of blood. The mighty sword Qi turned his clothes to shreds, while a black, square piece of leather around 30 centimeters in length and width drifted into the air. It was undamaged. The Saint King reacted violently when he saw this piece of leather. He ignored his injuries and grabbed at the leather with all he had. However, Qing Yishuan was faster than him. Her thin fingers turned into a blur, snatching the piece of leather from the air. Her face became wild with joy as she cried out, the Octaterra map fragment. I've finally obtained it. Qing Yishuan no longer stuck around after she grabbed it. She immediately turned around in an attempt to leave. The Saint King roared out angrily, slamming his palm onto Qing Yishuan's back with all his strength. A mouthful of blood spurted from her mouth and worsened her injuries even further. However, she took advantage of this strike, using the knockback to flee and increase in speed. She no longer wanted to be tied up with this Saint King. Qing Yishuan, my Hao family will definitely not let you go, roared the Saint King. He was furious. Qing Yishuan fled pale-faced. She wanted to find a safe area as soon as possible to recuperate. The situation of her body was not very great at all. Due to the intense battle before, she had not suppressed her injuries, so they were constantly worsening. It had reached an extremely horrible level. She would struggle to deal with even an ordinary Saint Emperor right now. I may be heavily injured, but it's all worth it as long as I can obtain the Octaterra map fragment. Qing Yishuan glanced at the black piece of leather in her hand and could not help but reveal a smile on her pale face. Afterward, she casually placed the map fragment into her bosom. She did not place it into her space ring. A golden light shot out from the ground at this very moment, directly toward her. Chapter 875, The final owner shocked, Qing Yishuan immediately raised her vigilance. She swung the sword in her hand and directly stabbed at the ball of golden light. Cling! With a metallic sound, the golden light was blasted away by Qing Yishuan's attack and revealed itself as a golden tower. However, it suddenly began to radiate with a golden light, encasing a radius of several hundred meters. Even Qing Yishuan herself became enveloped within. The saint artifact used its power to convert the surroundings into its own domain. Although it did not possess full control over the area, it was able to suck up or let out anything that did not resist into the region. The gold-clothed newbies left the artifact space and appeared behind Qing Yishuan silently. He spat out a mouthful of venomous gas. The venom of the silver-striped golden snakes was ranked third in the world. As a ninth heavenly layer saint ruler, his venom could even take out saint kings. Qing Yishuan failed to notice it and took in a breath and immediately began to feel dizzy. Shit, it's poison. Shocked, Qing Yishuan immediately discovered that someone had appeared behind her. Just as she was about to react accordingly, Nubis viciously grabbed her back and impaled her with his fingers. The venom surged into her body like the water of a broken dam. Qing Yishuan cried out while great quantities of saint force churned within her, knocking Nubis away with her overwhelming strength. Her face was like frost and her eyes overflowed with killing intent. She directly stabbed out at Nubis with her sword. Nubis did not fear her and immediately began to fight back. If Qing Yishuan was in her peak condition, he might have been limited to fleeing, but she was now heavily injured and poisoned by him. She could only use half of her strength, not enough to threaten Nubis anymore. They hurriedly clashed a few times, before Nubis was impaled through the chest. He was heavily injured, but Qing Yishuan had also taken a fist from Nubis, which caused her to vomit blood as she was knocked back. Before she could stabilize herself, Jian Chen appeared quietly before her through the use of the artifact. His hand snaked into her bosom like a lightning bolt and he immediately came into contact with her two soft, full breasts. They pressed against his palm, causing her clothes around the chest region to bulge. He felt the map fragment as soon as he stuck his hand in. Without any hesitation, he snatched the fragment tightly with some force, but he grabbed more than that. Jian Chen could tell from the feeling that he had also seized a piece of cloth and a portion of silky smooth skin. Arg! Qing Yishuan could not help but cry out. She became wide-eyed and stared blankly at the hand that had reached into her bosom. She was filled with disbelief. She returned to her senses immediately. Her slightly flushed face was replaced with anger as she cried out, "You pervert!" As they were too close, she was unable to lash out with her sword, so she directly threw a palm strike forward in this urgent situation. A palm strike from an angered fifth heavenly layer Saint King could not be underestimated. Despite her injuries, this strike was beyond what Jian Chen's chaotic body could withstand. Spurt. Jian Chen immediately spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying off far away. His hand was also pulled out from her chest, along with the black map fragment that he had grasped tightly. However, there was something else. Her white undergarment had been grabbed too, which came out with the map fragment. It waved freely in the air with a lingering body warmth, giving off a slight fragrance. Qing Yishuan became bright red when she saw the undergarment in Jian Chen's hand. Her eyes burned with fury, while her killing intent shot into the sky. "You pervert, I'll obliterate you." Qing Yishuan fell into a frenzy of rage. She charged at Jian Chen with her sword as she ignored her injuries. "Let's go. This woman is too powerful. She's still so powerful even with those injuries." Newbies appeared beside Jian Chen in a flash, grabbing him before shooting off into the distance. As that all happened, the saint artifact turned into a streak of golden light and disappeared into Jian Chen's forehead. "Where do you think you're going? Today is the day of your death." Qing Yishuan screamed from behind. Her hatred for Jian Chen had already reached a bone-deep level. "You've been poisoned by me. If you don't suppress its spread, you'll die before you've even caught up to us. You should know very well just how powerful the venom of a silver-striped golden snake is," Nubis called back out in an attempt to stop her pursuit. "I've burned the two of you into my memory. I'll kill you even if I have to chase the two of you to the ends of the earth," roared Qing Yishuan. She did not continue her pursuit and instead glanced at the two of them coldly. Afterward, she turned around and flew off in the opposite direction. Nubis was right. Her body was indeed in a horrible condition, heavily injured and then poisoned. If she did not deal with it as soon as possible, she would die even if she was a saint king. Nubis traversed tens of thousands of kilometers with Jian Chen as fast as he could before finally coming to a stop. Afterward, they both entered the saint artifact. Inside there, they healed very quickly and returned to their peak conditions under the treatment of the artifact's spirit's origin energy. Only then did they finally relax. Stealing from a fifth heavenly layer Saint King was an extremely risky thing to do for them. If they had lost focus for even a split second, their lives could have been in danger. "We've finally obtained the map fragment." Jian Chen smiled excitedly. He turned his hand to look at the map fragment as he did not have the opportunity earlier. However, his face suddenly froze and revealed an odd expression. Although he had felt that he had grabbed something else with the map fragment in the situation before, he had never bothered to look at it. Only now did he discover that he had also grabbed Qing Yishuan's white undergarment. "Let's see what the Octaterra map fragment is like." Nubis also looked toward Jian Chen's hand, but he soon locked onto the undergarment. He became stupefied while his mouth became agape. He was filled with disbelief. Jian Chen, what's that?" Nubis pointed toward the undergarment as he stuttered. Jian Chen raised it up for a closer examination, finally confirming that he had not seen wrong. He could not help but smile bitterly. That's an undergarment." "Jian Chen, why, you've actually taken her undergarment," said Nubis as he was dumbstruck. It was a critical situation. How would I have noticed things like this? Jian Chen forced a smile. "Whoa, Jian Chen, you're just too powerful. That person is a fifth heavenly layer Saint King. No wonder she said she would chase us to the ends of the earth. Turns out you, Nubis could not help but break into laughter toward the end. Jian Chen could only force a smile as he stared at the undergarment. He carefully placed it into his space ring. He planned to return it to Qing Yishuan when they met again in the future. Alright, let's not dwell on this matter. Let's check out the map fragment first. Nubis immediately became serious when they reached the matter of the map fragment. He immediately rushed up to Jian Chen to examine the fragment. It was a piece of black, square leather. It was extremely tough and even Saint Kings would struggle to destroy it. On it was a blurry image, and with close examination, it was not difficult to see that it was an incomplete map. This fragment is a part of the map to the Octaterra Divine Hall, as well as the key to the Divine Hall. We need to collect all the pieces before being able to form the whole thing, said Nubis. Jian Qin nodded and immediately put it away. He pulled out the water spirit's pearl and gulped it down. We can't dwell here. We better leave quickly. Nubis nodded in agreement before swallowing his pearl too. He left the artifact space alongside Jian Qin. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.